What's up, guys, and welcome back to College Football 25, where today we're going to figure out if we can win a national championship by only recruiting 5-star players. Now, I know on the surface this seems like a really easy challenge because, hey, they're all 5-star players. They're supposed to be the best ones that you can end up recruiting in any given season. However, there are 3 big issues when going into the recruiting. That's first of all, there are only a finite amount of 5-star players that you can recruit in any given season. I mean, in some classes it can be as low as 20 to 30, in others it's going to be a bit more. But again, there are only a finite amount of players that you can go after. Second of all, just because they're all 5-star players doesn't mean that they're going to actually fit into the needs that you have as a team in the offseason. Because say you end up losing like a left guard and a middle linebacker, but everyone that's a 5-star athlete is either a quarterback, halfback, or someone in the secondary, then yeah, you're going to have to either move guys around or just deal with the fact that you're going to have that need all season long. And third, because they are all 5-star recruits, you're going to have to deal with a lot of other schools that are trying to get them. So being able to get into that top 3, let alone the top 10, might be a little difficult, but that's why this is going to be a fun challenge. And of course, if there's any coach that's up to it, that's going to be Sick Nabin here. And the reason why we end up choosing North Carolina is because realistically, they're a 4-star school. So that means that we're going to have a really good chance at getting those 5-star prospects. And also, as you look at the history of this team as well, not incredible. Good enough to stay a 4-star school, but not a team that's necessarily going to win a national championship right out of the gate. So I feel safe in saying that without any recruiting, we're not going to be able to end up winning a national championship. But if we do this correctly, I think we might actually have a shot. So of course, to start off, we're going to be looking for all 5-star prospects in this class. And I'm really hoping there's a good amount of them. And as you can see too, we unfortunately do have some deal breakers on a couple of these guys. So D-tackle Braden Garnes is not even going to allow us to put him on our board. So we're going to have to keep him off. But as you can see, we actually do have a good amount of players that we can choose from. But when all's said and done, there are 26 guys that we have on this board right now. We do have 1,000 hours, so we're going to be able to scout them. Downside though is if you actually look at the positions, we have 6 quarterbacks here. Obviously, we're not going to be able to play all of them, and I don't know how many of them are actually going to fit into other spots, especially since we have no halfbacks here. But we'll definitely find out. Maybe we can find a scrambling quarterback that would actually move over there pretty well. And kind of like something else that I pointed out a little bit earlier, too. That's not to say that everyone's going to want to come to our school. You know, we have a lot of other schools that we're going to have to deal with. As you can see, Celeste Roundtree is the only one that even has us in their top 10, and we're up at number 2, thankfully. And even though we didn't get a chance to fully recruit everybody, we still found a lot of really good guys, including John Gage here, who is a 5-star gem at left outside linebacker. And not just that, but we actually found a lot of good quarterbacks that have some pretty good speed and some good throw power. So if we get a couple of them, we might be able to move them around. And even if they are a bust like Connor Gator here, we're still going to keep them on the board because, again, there's going to be a very limited amount of 5-stars and we want to get as many as we can. But the main reason why we didn't fully scout everyone is because, hey, we're going to be in pretty tough battles here for the rest of the season if we want to get some of these guys, so we just want to offer a scholarship to everyone that we can. So now that we've offered everyone a scholarship, let's advance to the next week. Let's get into week 0, and let's see what we can do to actually get some of these guys to come to North Carolina. Granted, we already have someone that's kind of locked us out because we are not in their top 8. And unfortunately, offering scholarships did not entice anyone to put us up in their top 10 or anything, so we're going to have to work really hard in recruiting to be able to get these guys. And after putting a lot of hours on these guys, including sending the house on the ones that I really want to get, I think we're still going to keep someone like Parker Jewell on the list just in case he opens it back up. But now that we have all of these hours distributed pretty well, I think we're going to advance to the next week and let's see if that moved the needle on anyone. And while it did with John Gage here to put us up at number 9, he narrowed it down to the top 8, so that's not really going to matter, including a lot of these other guys that have shut us out too. Now that a handful of guys have locked us out and a lot of these hours have freed up, let's start sending the house on them because we're going to really need as many hours on these guys as possible to get them interested in North Carolina. But despite freeing up so many hours, it is extremely sad to see this many locks right here, especially since we only have 15 guys that are eligible for us to be able to recruit. But hopefully we can pick up a win against Minnesota in this first week. That way, maybe again, people want to actually come to our school. But we'll see. If we see a lot of guys get grayed out here on this next screen, I think we might be a little SOL. Well, okay. Well, there's 3 of them, but we do see that we did end up getting in the top 8 of some of these other guys too, and that's great. But unfortunately, we still ended up losing to Minnesota. So now we're going to be taking on Charlotte at home this week, but of course, we got to do a little bit of recruiting first. And to see us jump up on so many guys' lists here too is really awesome. We're in the top 3 on a lot of these guys. maybe not Hartfield as we're down at number 5, but still, getting up to the top on a lot of these guys is great, especially Demarius Urban, who is a 5-star gem quarterback. And honestly, if you looked at his stats too, pretty insane. 94 throw power, 87 speed, 88 acceleration, really good accuracy. If we end up landing him, he's going to be the quarterback of the future. So after maxing out the hours on all the quarterbacks now, I think we're ready to get into this game against Charlotte, and hopefully we can actually win the Battle of the Carolinas here. I mean, I guess that would be against South Carolina, wouldn't it? But doesn't matter. You know what I mean. Let's see if we can end up picking up a victory, and let's see if we can get into the top 3 of some of these other guys. And while we did get locked out on 2 guys, looks like we're number 1 on a lot of other boards right now. But unfortunately, we dropped to Charlotte. That's rough as we start out the season 0-2. It's not going to help out recruiting at all, but hopefully we can pick up a victory against the Pandas. But let's get into the recruiting. And good news is we're staying on top of a lot of these guys too. And not just that, but since we do have 25 hours open, John Gage just opened up his recruitment again. So let's throw in 25 hours here, and let's see if we can kind of sway him to our side. But come on, there's no way that we lose to an FCS school, right? And even though we are grayed out on a lot of these guys right now, a lot of those guys are guys that already locked us out. We just kept them on there just in case they reopened. They're just going up to the top 5 schools. Except for Jewel down here, who ended up committing to Michigan. Pretty early commit, too. But hey, thankfully we ended up taking down FCS Southwest. I think that was Southwest, right? Whoever the Pandas were. We ended up taking them down. And not just that, but now I think we can actually take Jewel off the list. But looks like a couple other guys who ended up opening their recruitment too, and hopefully we can end up getting them. Except for Quincy Awesome here, who would be nice to have just because of the last name, but again, he is a 5-star bust, but he did lock us out. Except after opening back up, we unfortunately lost Gage again as he went up to his top 5 as we are number 6. So we'll move him down, but again, a couple other guys ended up opening up, and we're going to have to find a way to distribute these points. Now for Demarius Urban, though, we ended up taking off the other 15 hours on him, just so we can free up 40, because I really want to schedule him for a visit as soon as possible, and that's going to be the game against Pitt. Now the good thing here is we get a lot of bonuses if we win, and only a very minimal thing if we end up losing. So let's send him for Pitt, and we already know what a couple of his things are, but definitely the best one on here is that conference prestige, so let's go with that. Now, there are a handful of other guys that we can end up bringing in on visits as well, but unfortunately, especially for like Trey Kashima right here, we only know 2 of his things. We're not quite sure what the third one is. We could really go by deduction if we wanted to, but honestly, it's not like we have the hours to do it anyways. And after the game against James Madison, looks like we're number 1 on a lot of these boards, including 2 on Tinker and Winthrop. But man, we've made it into the top 3 and top 5 a lot of these guys too, which means we're going to be able to bring them in on a visit pretty soon. And not just that, we must have won though, because we won ACC Defensive Player of the Week, and Tavius Lane, 1 interception and 4 tackles. And we do pick up the win, and now we're on a 2-game winning streak, sitting at 500. So even though we got Urban coming in week 6, it looks like there are a couple other guys that we're going to have to contend with as well, including Georgia and South Carolina. So we're really going to have to lock him down pretty quickly. So we did add the extra 15 hours back onto him, but the next week in which he's going to be visiting, we're going to go with the hard sell, and hopefully then we can kind of clear up a couple hours for other guys too. And speaking of visits, I think that we can actually bring Stephen Winthrop in week 6 as well. It's going to be nice because we'll have Urban coming as well. It's a complimentary visit. And not just that, but even though we only know 1 of the things that he's looking for, we know that one of the most important ones, if I can find it on here, would be playing time, and that is an A+. Now Quincy Awesome thought it'd be pretty awesome to open us back up, so... And surprisingly enough, I don't know why, but he put us at number 1 on his board. So what do you say we end up contacting his family and friends and find out a little more about him? And next week, once we end up getting some more hours freed up, I think we're going to find a way to bring Roundtree and Vargas to come in a future week as well, and hopefully together as well, since they're both going to be playing defense. We know what both of them are kind of looking for. Maybe not everything, but the things that we know that they're looking for are things that we have pretty good grades in. So if we win this week against Duke, I think there's a possibility we can get some more interest, because that was a big rivalry game. And fortunately, we do end up winning the game, but again, a handful of these guys that already committed are ones that already locked us out. We'll be able to take them off the board now, but as you can see, we're at number 1 in some of these guys that are up to the top 5s. But unfortunately, as we advance the week, we see that South Carolina jumps over us with Urban. So that means that we're going to have to really hard sell and make sure that we win this week against Pitt. But like I said, I really wanted to make sure that we got Roundtree and Vargas in on visits in this next week. And I think that's going to be against Georgia Tech. And I just realized as well that they don't really get that complimentary bonus because, yes, one's in the secondary and the other is on the defensive line. So I guess they don't necessarily synergize. So if this week really matters from a recruiting perspective, then yeah, we're going to be hopping into this game. It's going to be tough against Pittsburgh. Granted, we do have the advantage over them in this one because we're in 84, they're in 82. They're still 4-0, and I think that's going to be a little tough. And obviously, we're just going to be playing the moments. Now, it's been a pretty boring game thus far, but we are about halfway through the second quarter, and hopefully we can get in the end zone for the first time today as well, as we're stopped just short. But if they're going to crowd the line, we may as well try to throw for it. Well, except for the fact that they got in there pretty quickly, and we end up not being able to catch that. So let's go one more time here with the pass. Hopefully we can actually hit Nesbitt in the middle here. He will be. Let's go. And there we go. We got our first points of the game. And somehow Sim did us dirty in the second half because we only have a 5-point lead now. And that means, if we can get the ball out, which we can't, we turn the ball over. But thankfully our defense holds and we have a chance to be able to put this game away right here by getting potentially a first down. But all we need is a couple yards to be able to pick that up. Just 4. Come on now. There we go. Right across the middle. Slide down and let's just take our first down. And let's take the game. And hopefully this win is enough to be able to convince those two to end up coming to our school. And while neither of them committed, at least we went back up to number 1 on Urban's list. But hopefully that was enough of a bump for Urban to be able to put us up close enough to the commit. And for Winthrop as well, it looks like we're getting up there as well. It looks like we have a pretty healthy lead over Notre Dame. We just need to find a way to get them to commit pretty soon. So we do have a couple guys visiting this week as well against Georgia Tech. So it's another conference game too. Let's get into it. Again, same type of deal too. They're actually playing pretty well this season, but they're an 81 overall. We do have the advantage over them, so let's hope that we can actually take this one too. And unfortunately, we're starting off the game with potentially giving up a score here, because on third down, how did that go through our hands? I don't know how we missed that ball. I mean, I need to see this, because he is right there. And he just didn't go for the ball? He had the leverage. But after giving up a score, there's no way I'm not going for it on 4th and 5 here. Probably dumb, I'm aware, but oh well. That was a terrible throw. Where were you going, buddy? And things are not looking good as we are down 34-7 and having a 3rd and 10 down here. Not great. But let's see if we can pick up a first down. We cannot. We get down to a 4th and 5. And with where we're at right now, we just need to go for it. I really don't care if we don't pick it up. I would rather go down swinging than just straight up losing. You know what I mean? Go down with a fight. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Is this a different quarterback? I feel like we have a different quarterback out there. And unfortunately we do. I mean, granted, he is a better overall than the other quarterback we had in the other one, but having a lefty here is a little rough as... I can't believe he almost picked that. So let's just pound this in and let's hope that we can just get the ball back. But hey, let's have fun with the onside kick. Why not? Let's see if we can actually recover this. We cannot. It went right to him. But let's just hope a 37-14 loss against Georgia Tech isn't going to take us out of the running for some of them. But thankfully it doesn't, as we actually get our quarterback of the future, Demarius Urban. Let's go. That's a big signing right there. And while that is a big signing, that's only one. We only have one player in our class right now, and we're locked out of 3 others. But the good news is the freeing up of the hours has allowed us to get a lot of other guys on visits now, so we got a lot over the coming weeks. And while a lot of these guys ended up committing to other schools, including Rome, who still has us locked out, the good news is at least we have a lot of hours to be able to max everyone out. The question is maxing all of them out really going to be enough to be able to land a lot of them? I hope so, as we advance the week through this one. But unfortunately, as we advance the week, we see that a lot of guys have committed elsewhere. That's not great, and that means that our list is getting a lot smaller now. And it almost feels wrong leaving 390 hours on the table, but unfortunately, that's where we're at. And the max amount of players that we can sign for this class is 8. That's pretty pathetic. Let's hope that maybe there's going to be a couple in the transfer portal at the end of the season. And that list just got a lot smaller as we see that 5 guys decided to end up committing to other schools. That is not good news for us. And the fact that we dropped that game, Abdul Edmond ended up taking us off his board because, unfortunately, we don't meet the championship contender requirement. And that also means that the only guys that we can sign for this class are quarterbacks. Not a successful year 1. But unfortunately, the other quarterback ended up committing to Notre Dame, and Awesome did put us at number 2 on his board still. Oregon's still up there, so let's see if we can leapfrog them. And hopefully an upset win against Wake Forest could be able to do that. But the fact that we did not go up much means that we did end up losing. And even though we moved up to number 1 on Awesome's board, unfortunately there's a deal breaker with the playing style, so we need to make sure that we really improve that for the rest of the season, because we need to make sure that he gets here. And it didn't happen soon enough, because it looks like Awesome ended up committing to Oregon. But only if he would have waited just one more week, I think maybe we could have snagged him. And despite a win against NC State, who was ranked in the top 25, unfortunately Edmond did end up committing to Ohio State. So say hello to our class, guys. It's one guy, Demarius Urban, but hopefully he'll be the main factor here. And hopefully Urban can end up like Cam Ward here, who had 40 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions, with just shy of 4,000 yards to win the Heisman. And it looks like we'll be taking on Navy in the Boca Raton Bowl. That's going to be fun. But now that it is early signing day, we get to see what type of development Urban has. And he is going to be a star. That's great. Kind of wish that it would be elite, but still, not bad. But again, with only one player in our class, how good is this class going to be? Because we really need to pick this up in next year, just to make sure that we can have enough guys to be able to field the team by year 5. And let's go! Thankfully, we sinned through it and we ended up winning the Boca Raton Bowl. Now, it looks like our offensive coordinator actually retired, so we're going to have to get a new offensive coordinator in. And looks like the national championship game is going to be Oregon against Michigan. That's going to be a really interesting game. So let's end up advancing forward. Let's see who ends up winning. And let's see if we have any transfers in the portal that are 5 stars. Because those are going to be the only ones that we're able to recruit. But looks like Oregon took down Michigan 34-27. Really great game, guys. And looking at all these skills, it looks like we're going to have to get someone in who is a tactician, just to have a chance at really kind of developing a game plan to be able to win the championship game. But unfortunately, with our offensive coordinator retiring, man, we got a lot of guys that look like they want to transfer. Obviously, a handful of guys that are going to be going to graduation, but some of these guys look good. I mean, Jake Johnson is an 82 overall. Jaden Patterson's only a freshman. He's a 76. I think he would probably start in our secondary. So it would be really nice to be able to get these guys back. Although it looks like we're not getting Johnson back. But looks like we're getting Patterson back, and that's going to be really good. And not just that, but we also have Hampton, who's projected to go in the first round of the pro draft. And honestly, that would be a big help, especially as it comes to recruiting, because that pro potential goes up a little bit. Now, looking at the portal, if we go to 5-star prospects, hey, we have 2 of them, but unfortunately, we are locked out of both of them. That is unfortunate, especially since they are both defensive players, and we did not get one in this class. Then again, what did we get? Just a quarterback. But potentially, again, the quarterback of the future. But let's get into position changes. Now, I want to see if anyone's going to improve if we move them elsewhere. We have a pretty big wide receiver room here, and if we look at Christian Hamilton, if we end up moving him to halfback, he's a 75 overall, and he ends up going up. And in fact, Jordan Shipp here would be another great halfback as well, but he's a 73 tight end, and we need more of those. And since we do have an overabundance at left tackle, and we have a need for a center, this guy ends up becoming a 77. Is actually going to be our starting center now. By a pretty big long shot, too. And since we need another strong safety as well, Malcolm Ziegler is actually going to be a really good one to move over there, especially for run support. But aside from that, I think we're good to go into our next season, and let's really hope that our quarterback play is going to be a lot better. And we're really going to have to prove ourselves, too, because now we're a 3.5-star school. But we're an 88 overall right now with an 89 defense, so hopefully we can kind of turn that around. And of course, the moment of truth. We got the training results. And we see that Rice goes up to an 87. The good news, Harrell is up to an 81 now. So he's probably going to be our starter going into the season. Hamilton is an 84, which is really insane. And of course, our wide receiver room looks really good too. Now, we do have the chance to encourage transfers, but our roster size is 55 out of 85, because we were only able to sign 1 guy last season. So don't think that we're going to be encouraging anyone to transfer. We need as many bodies as possible. But now as we get into season 2, I ended up watching a couple videos on how to recruit a little bit better. So I'm hoping maybe we can get more than, 1 prospect in this class. So let's take a look at every single 5-star prospect here, and let's hope that no one has a deal breaker. Although we see that number 2, the middle linebacker, does have a deal breaker, and that's Coach Prestige. Hopefully we can improve that over time, but looks like we have a handful of guys that we can end up putting in. Proximity to home, that's rough for that quarterback. That's okay. Again, we have the quarterback of the future for us, I believe. So we'll have a lot of guys that we can end up putting on here. But we do have 27 guys to recruit here, including one defensive tackle that has his first on his list. And thankfully, he looks really good too. He's not a gem, but still 87 finesse, 86 tackle, 91 strength. I think he's going to be pretty good. You know, we started off with a handful of busts, but we've gotten a couple of really good gems lately too, including this one, Sammy Abraham. And honestly, with 97 speed out of the gate, I think he'd be a really great receiver. We really want to focus on him. And we even find Tavita Hunter, who is a 99 speed cornerback, and a middle linebacker with 94 speed, who is a gem. That is insane. But then again, these are all 5-star recruits, so again, a lot of them are going to be really great with some good stats out of the gate. And thankfully, that allows us enough time to be able to offer every single one of these guys a scholarship, even the guys who are busts. Because as you can see, there isn't like a huge amount of diversity between a lot of these guys. A lot of guys who are like skill positions like that, and a couple of offensive linemen and centers. So that means that whoever we can get and potentially move around would be extremely great. So let's get into the actual season and let's see if we can land some of these guys, because it's going to be pretty important. We don't necessarily have a team out there that's consisting of all of the guys that we recruited, because there's only one guy and he's probably going to sit on the bench this season. I might actually redshirt him so that we can have him with a lot of the other guys we recruit, if we do. So we ended up distributing the hours mostly into guys that we really do want to land, but of course we want to keep a little bit of interest in a lot of other guys. Let's just hope that that's going to help a little bit as we get into this next week, and hopefully we won't see anyone that shut us out because they went into their top 8. Unfortunately, we see a lot of locks right there, and that's not great for us. And while we did get locked out on 7 guys, that is going to allow us to kind of distribute a few more hours to other guys too. So let's hope that we can drum up a little more interest by taking a win against TCU at home. That would be a great start to the season, and hopefully then we'd move up on a couple of boards. And not only do we get a win, but we also see a lot of firsts right there. Yes, we do still get locked out a little bit, but at the same time, we have a lot of guys here that we've creeped up on their board. And currently, we are first on 10 different boards. And of course, on top of some of the boards for some of these other guys too, including Dalvin Gono here, who ended up opening back up and put us at number 8. So since there isn't really much that we can do right now, let's advance. Let's see if we can take Charlotte down this week, because again, we kind of got embarrassed by them last year. So let's hope that we can actually take this one. And not only do we take this one, but I know you guys can't see this right here, but we are number 24 in the nation right now. And since I feel like we're going to miss out on this guy, I think we're going to take these hours off of him, because I honestly really want to be able to bring someone in on a visit. And I know exactly who I want that to be. And that is going to be Parker Rayberg right here. Because we not only know what his motivations are, but they're all really good ones for us. So even though I think that we could probably play Ole Miss here with him, I feel like we can actually bring him in for the Stanford game. Main reason being, I feel like we might have a better chance despite the fact that they're 2-0. So let's bring him for them, and let's really focus on that proximity to home. It's one of those important things, and I know playing style can kind of adjust, so let's go with the one that we know is going to be really good. Now, we do have a couple other guys that are ready for visits, but honestly, we don't really have the hours for it. It's just the fact that we knew the motivations, we knew that all 3 of them were really good, and I'm just really hoping that that might be enough for him to sign pretty early. Again, we're going to start the hard sell once we get into the week in which he is visiting, and again, we have all 3 things that he's looking for, so I feel like we're in a really good spot with him. And by not doing anything last week at all, we moved up to number 19. And remember that 97 speed receiver that I really wanted? It's about time he comes on a visit too, because if you look right there, that playing time and pro potential are all really huge. So I feel like if we take off the send to house, we go for the scheduled visit, maybe that same week, because I feel like we can beat Stanford, who is now number 24. They are 3-0. Let's just make sure that we play our best in that game. And honestly, we might be able to bring in Tavita Hunter as well. He is that really great cornerback that we ended up finding. I think he had the 99 speed. So let's bring him in for Stanford as well, and let's really focus on that pro potential. I know that could change by the time he ends up coming to our school to visit, but still, I think that that's going to still be pretty solid. Now, there are a couple other guys that ended up opening their recruitment back up and put us a little higher on their boards, but honestly, right now, I really want to focus on the guys that we have. And with that, let's see if we can stay 3-0 and beat UCF in Florida. Let's hope that we can, because again, that might attract these guys to the school, might get a couple early commits, or we could get locked out and a couple guys could end up committing to other places as well. But that's not to say that we ended up losing. So I'd like someone to explain how we ended up losing and we ended up dropping out of the top 25 But Ole Miss is 1-2, but they're still number 17. So honestly, I want to bring a couple more guys in on visits. So Kevin Murphy, you're coming in for Stanford as well. That is going to be an extremely important week. We're going to sell him on that family thing because, hey, proximity to home is an A-, and that is pretty damn good to me. In addition, we're going to bring Clavon Loomis, and I probably pronounced that incorrectly, but we're going to bring him in, I think, for the game against Duke, only because it's pretty soon, and I want to make sure that we don't just lose him right away. And let's sell him on that playing time as well, because that is an A+. So we really need to redeem ourselves from that UCF game. Let's see if we can take down Ole Miss, and let's see if we can knock them out of the top 25. And hopefully we can stay number 1 on a lot of boards. But not just that, we get our first commit of the year. Lane Everett, a center. That's great because we're really going to need a lot of help on the line. So being able to get him is great, and staying atop a lot of other boards is awesome too. When you look at that, we got the same amount of recruits already than we did last season. And it's funny that happened because we ended up losing. We're 2-2. So now that we're getting into the week where they are going to be visiting, I think we're going to go for that hard sell right now. I know we only know 2 of his motivations, but we have enough information here to be able to find out exactly what all 3 of those are. Obviously not that one because there's an X up there on that. But there's got to be one more combination, and there it is right there, the conference spotlight, and that's great because that conference prestige is at an A+, baby. That's part of the reason why we went with an ACC team as well. Plus, we're going to be able to bring in a couple other guys too. Obviously not on weeks where we have other guys playing the same position going, so we're going to have to pick Clemson on this one. I just realized how tough our schedule is. But we do have 4 guys visiting this week, so we really need to show out right here. We're facing 3-0 Stanford. That's number 13 in the nation right now. They're an 81 overall against our 88. If we can't take them down, I'm going to be a little upset. But again, the way that I play, you never know. But realistically, that's the fun in it, you know? Being able to get a little bit of, I guess, RNG in the way, you know what I mean? I guess it's not really random because it's me playing, but again, the fact that, you know, we're not the best player here, again, makes these visit weeks even more important, because if we don't do well, man, we're going to lose some really good guys here, and we definitely don't want that as we get a great block on the outside. Couldn't spin, unfortunately, but we do pick up a first. And bro, I love the way that this team is working right now. We get some really good blocks on the outside, but not the one that we needed. First down or end zone. That's all we're looking for right here. And it looks like we got the end zone, baby. Phillips in there for the first touchdown of the game. Unfortunately, it's still a 7-7 game in the third, almost getting into the fourth. Let's get some pressure. There we go. Good stop right there. 3rd and 3. But we need a little more than that because that is not enough to be able to get them off the field. Not just a defensive stop, but a turnover would be fantastic right here if they go for the play action. Good play right there. And oh, wait, hold on. The forward progress, he did not get it because he ended up letting go of that block, and let's go. 4th and 1 now. We get bailed out by a really crazy-ass animation. And now on 4th and 1, they're going to end up taking their 3. No! Oh, how did that go in? That looked like that was shanked to the left, but no. They end up picking up 3, and we're down by 3 now. But that is going to allow us to play a little bit of hero ball right here. Let's see if we can make that happen. Oh, we can't. We end up scrambling, and we get sacked for a loss of 7. That is a lot. That is a lot, unfortunately. Come on now. Can we get someone free downfield? We can't. Let's scramble this time. Let's get out there. Oh my gosh, I forgot that there was definitely going to be a defender. So 3rd and 5. Let's see if we can actually get the screen this time. Hopefully he won't get caught up on the guys that are rushing this time, please. There we go. We get it out. Get that block. That's what I'm talking about. Get all the way up there, and we get pushed out of bounds at the 34. We're looking pretty good right now. Again, we just got to keep it to the sidelines, or if we're going to take a deep shot, we need to make sure they're going to be open. And that is a tough thing to ask, but we hit him on that little flick of the wrist, baby. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. We have 2 timeouts. Someone get free here, please. There he is. There he is. That's what I'm talking about, baby. A little break in coverage. And let's go. We just need to hurry up just a little bit. And let's find a way to get closer to the end zone. We're almost in field goal range, but that is not enough for me. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That's our halfback. We got Phillips, and we got a touchdown, baby. Let's go. We're going to go up 14-10 here in the last minutes, and that's what I'm talking about, baby. Somehow our defense scores another 7, and we end up winning 21-10. And hopefully, we're going to see a couple commits on that next screen. And Billups definitely getting player of the game. 3 catches for 79 and 2 touchdowns. Yes, please. And I misspoke. He is not the running back. But it was a wide receiver open on the wheel there, and that is going to be enough for the game. And unfortunately, I do not see any commits, but we should have been able to kind of get a little closer up their list, and hopefully we can close that out sooner rather than later as we get back into the top 25 at number 21. And unfortunately, with Sammy Abraham, we're getting close to that commit, but Ole Miss is really getting up there too, and they got a visit on week 10. And I'm really hoping that a handful of these guys end up signing because I really want to free up some hours for some of these other guys too. But to be able to get those, we're going to have to be able to beat teams like Wake Forest, who is number 6 right now. This rivalry game is going to actually be pretty awesome. And there we go, Kevin Murphy, our second center. Yikes. Our third, is this a joke? Did we literally just sign 3 centers? We're definitely going to have to move them around a little bit. And unfortunately, that D tackle that was really interested in us from the beginning just signed with Alabama. Osgood signed with Oregon. Gono, who we weren't really going after, signed with Georgia. And Napolitano, who we really didn't give a damn about, went to Texas. But the other positive thing, we just ended up beating Wake Forest, and we got ourselves a 2-0 record in conference. And unfortunately, it looks like Notre Dame is taking a lead on Clavon Loomis, but I still have a lot of hope. We're bringing him in week 9, and we really need to make sure that he ends up coming. But the fact that he is visiting Notre Dame this week actually gives me a little bit of worry. So I'm a little worried that once we do advance this week, we are going to end up losing him, but it's all right. Again, we have a lot of good guys on the board, and we hope that we can get a couple of them to sign as well as we get Sammy Abraham. Let's go! The receiver I really wanted. I am so happy he ended up committing. And Tavita Hunter, that fast cornerback. Dude, we're going to have a really speedy team down the line. I love it. But unfortunately, we do lose Loomis to Notre Dame. Wiggum ended up going to Oregon. Lord went to the Gamecocks. And Boyd ended up going to Georgia. But we did get 2 of the guys that we really wanted, and we're still number 1 on Clay Turner's board. And even though it's 4 recruits, this board is looking a lot better than it did last season. And with that many guys off the board, we're able to really distribute our hours a lot better too. A lot of these guys are going to get a lot more looks, and we're going to be able to invest a little bit more time into them. And let's hope that we can get a couple more. But in order to do that, we need to win this game against Duke as well. We had a really good time, obviously, against Stanford. Let's see if we can do the same thing here. And let's hope we can get a couple extra guys to end up committing to our school, because as great as 4 is compared to what we got last year, we still need a lot more. And if we do want to pick up this victory, we need to be able to shut them out on 4th and 10 right here. Can we get any pressure? We can't. And unfortunately, nope. Don't tell me we're going to let them score. Are you kidding me? That is awful. And now it's going to be a 1-possession game again. Honestly, the pursuit on that was so bad. That is totally on me. But all right, let's just pick up a few first downs, and let's try to ice this game. There's no fumbles. But if we can run this clock out, that would obviously be best right here. Come on. Cut up a little bit. We end up gaining 4. They waste their first time out. Let's see if we can continue to get them to waste those, because, again, this win is going to be important if we want to sign some of these guys. We got a handful of guys on the visit this week, so it is extremely important. And with that run right there, we end up getting that first down, and we might be able to ice it now. One more run up the middle. Let's see if we can just pick up this first down yet again. That would really, really ice the game. But either way, that was their last time out. And if we pick up one more, we're going to be fine. But let's let the clock run as much as possible after we snap it. Let's see. Of course, they're not going to run commit? Are you kidding? Let's go. That is a first down, and that is going to be a big win against Duke in the rivalry game. And if we continue to play like that, we might actually win the national championship this year. But the thing about that is we don't have anyone that we've recruited that's actually playing on the team right now. So I don't think that would actually count. So we got to do this with a team of guys that we recruited. Connor Harrell, 166 and 2 touchdowns. Not too bad, although the completion percentage needs to go up. And with that victory brings another recruit and our first guy on defense, Jerry Landman, who's going to be a great right end. And definitely a big need for us too. And that win actually puts us at number 7 in the country. That's insane. And at this point, with 210 hours left, we're just trying to max out everything that we can do on these guys to get the most benefit possible. Especially since we kind of slipped down to number 2 on a couple of these guys, like Gash here, who we might lose out to University of Miami. Unfortunately, Penn State jumped us on Ostergaard, and also Free Unfortunately, we're going to have a hard time trying to beat out Michigan State, but we're going to give it our best shot. And look at that. We got Angel Man, right tackle, man. Our offensive line, I think, is going to be really good going forward. Unfortunately, though, we did lose middle linebacker Clay Turner, who I was really hoping to get to Georgia. We lost Fung to Penn State, and of course Okine over to Michigan State. But we do still have a couple guys on the board that we can get. The good news, though, is University of Miami is still not offered Emmanuel Gash a scholarship, so hopefully we can find a way to jump them in week 12. Obviously, we still had the lead on Ostergaard. We ended up jumping Penn State on him, but free, we're still going to have to take down Michigan State. Lacoste, I think, is going to be our best option here. Obviously, he has already visited, but realistically, I think he's going to be our best shot. But hopefully we can stay atop the top 25. We're 6-2, ranked number 6. That is actually going to make recruiting a little bit easier. So let's hope that we can stay up there with a win. Ooh, a win against Pittsburgh. I don't know if we got that, but Joey Free, baby. Another quarterback, someone who's going to be a good backup. Potentially someone who could start, or if there's an injury or something, we'll figure it out. But unfortunately, Emmanuel Gash, I don't think ever got a scholarship to Miami, but decided to walk on, I guess. But unfortunately, we did lose, which means that we need to win against Clemson if we want to have a shot at the playoffs. And at this point, I'm just really glad that Ostergaard and Lacoste have us at number 1 still. Hopefully, we can still beat out Michigan, and we do have to really take Week 12 seriously just so we can get Ostergaard. And unfortunately for us, Week 12 is now, and we're going to be taking on Clemson, who is, oh boy, a lot better than some of the other teams that we played. So let's hope we can go out there and actually pick up a victory. This one's going to be much more difficult. I don't think we're going to have as much success on offense. And at this point, we're really just looking to milk the clock now and be able to kind of get out of here with a win. Come on, guys. And fortunately for us, our defense holds on, and we end up winning 13-7. No points in the second half. That's crazy. But hopefully that's enough to be able to get another commit or two. As Kobe Paysauer ends up getting 6 catches for 77 and a touchdown to win player of the game. And that win over Clemson does get us Joey Lacoste, left outside linebacker, and David Ostergaard. We got another wide receiver. And that win pushes us up to number 7 against number 17 Virginia this week. As you can see in conference right now, we are 3rd. Georgia Tech is 6-1 and Virginia is 6-0. So if we win this one, we might have a shot. And unfortunately, unless Lane Everett here kind of opens it back up, doesn't look like we're going to be able to recruit for the rest of the season. But still, we end up getting a good 9 recruits. Again, 8 more than last season. And unfortunately, Everett does commit to West Virginia, which means that no more recruiting this year. But as we see, we end up picking up the win, and we go to number 5. But since we are sitting at the top of the conference, I can't really complain that much. Plus, that ups our prestige. So again, maybe not the biggest class in terms of recruiting, but still, we did a lot better than we did last season. And the fact that we're actually doing well as a team is probably a testament to that. Really glad with where we're at, and I'm really hoping that we ended up picking up the victory in this one, which we did not, and we go down to 6-2 in conference, but still 1st in the ACC, and we're still in the top 25. And despite the loss, Bo Atkinson, 2 sacks, a TFL, and 5 tackles, end up winning the ACC Defensive Player of the Week. And not just that, but we did get into the ACC Championship game, and we're going to be taking on Clemson again. And honestly, since we're not using any of the guys that we've recruited yet, I don't think that we necessarily need to play the championship game or even go into the playoffs. So, what we're going to do, aside from seeing that we did get our contract extended, which is awesome, we are going to advance into the next week, and let's just hope that Sim is nice to us and Clemson ends up dropping. And again, despite the loss, ACC Defensive Player of the Week, Evan Bennett. Too bad we didn't have the offensive one. And would you look at that, we get the Pop-Tarts Bowl. If we're not going to get to the playoffs, that's the one we want for sure. And it is early signing day, so let's take a look at everyone and let's see what their development traits are. Ostergaard is a star development. Lacoste is an impact. We got Murphy, who is an elite. That is going to be great, especially with him being at center. Abraham is elite as well. We're going to have an elite receiver. Hunter is a star. We have an elite in our right end. Jerry Landman as well. Man is a star, and same with Free. We got some really good guys here, man. I'm super excited for this. And even though we didn't get to see the Pop-Tart on the field, still end up picking up the win, and at least we got in a really awesome bowl game. So let's start to get into the offseason. Let's see if there are any 5-star recruits, and let's see if we can get anyone else to add to this class. But unfortunately, we do have a couple guys that do want to leave. Of course, our backup quarterback, who honestly don't really care that much about anymore, wants to leave, and I'm honestly willing to let him go. Now, this guy is leaving because of the potential pro potential, but It's all right. Let's see if we can... Never mind, we do not get him to stay. Let's see if we can get Jackson to stay, and we can. Thankfully, we have another left tackle that's going to stay. And honestly, maybe for depth, let's see if maybe he wants to say. No, he doesn't, but I don't care anyway. Time to get into the fun part of the season. We will check and see who ended up going pro, if anyone did from our team. It didn't look like it, unfortunately. But let's also see if there are any 5-star prospects, because it'd be nice. There's not even one in the transfer portal. That's a little rough for us. That means that we can just skip through the offseason and just take our 9 players. But now it's time to get into the position changes. Let's see if we can improve anyone by moving them around just a little bit. But before we look at anyone, Abraham, look at that. Like I said, 97 speed, but a 79 overall to start. Not bad. Slots right in at number 2 or 3. And Angel Man, who ended up coming in, was a 79 overall, but if we move him to left guard, which is actually a spot that we really need, he becomes an 80 overall. We can take that. And honestly, our left tackle is a 73 overall. And if we move Ryan Mayer over there, he becomes a 75. Why not do it, right? And if you look at this line, we got Mayer as a freshman at a 75, Mann as a freshman at 80. We have our senior center who's an 82. We might be able to move one of our guys back to center if need be. Another senior that's an 87 for a right guard and 83 senior at right tackle. Hopefully we can get some offensive linemen this season too. Unfortunately, we are lacking some cornerbacks right now. So we're going to have to take at least one of these guys and move them over. And honestly, that 99 speed on Patterson is really enticing, but I think Thompson might be a better corner if we move him over there. I know, again, it doesn't necessarily seem popular, but I think it's going to be better for him and for the team. So let's see what the training results are. I want to see some big jumps here, especially compared to last year. Urban went up to 78, but you still got Harold at an 83. It would be his last season, so maybe we actually keep him. And if things go wrong, then we can always swap a little later on. Hamilton's still an 84. Wide receivers. Kolivar ends up going up to an 87. That's great. And our right guard is now a 91. That's insane. And if you look at our defensive line, we got an 84, 86, 85. Dude, we are golden on the line. And looking at some of these guys, I don't know if I necessarily agree with the 91 overall, considering we only have one guy who's in 91 overall. Everyone else pretty much in the 80s, but still. We'll take it, and we're starting out the season ranked 24th as well. And per usual, we can look at encouraging transfers, but with only 9 guys signed from the last class, we're only sitting at 50 for the roster. I hope that we're able to actually field a team in a couple of years, but still happy with what we have right here, and we're going to make sure that everyone stays. And surprisingly enough, at the end of Season 2, we're at A- prestige. Thank you very much to the guys who ended up staying from Year 1 to actually put together a really good season. But now, as we start the season off number 14, we have a lot of our guys that we ended up recruiting who are now going to be starters. So I think now we're going to actually start to really focus in on these, and let's make sure that we can at least get to the playoffs in this year or the next one. And you remember when I said that Demarius Urban was going to be the future of this program? Yeah, apparently I was wrong, because Joey Free actually comes in at a 79 and over Urban after 1 year of development as well. And also looking at their player cards too, I mean, Urban is actually kind of close to maxed out on a couple of things, including maxed out on quickness. It's got a couple of pretty high skill caps. But looking at Joey Free, not only is he Platinum Magician, but he's also got a lot of other physical traits, as well as ratings that have a lot of room to grow, including that quickness as well. So even though I said that Urban was going to be the future of this program, I think Joey Free is going to be the one going forward. Not just that, but Sammy Abraham, who we just brought in, doesn't have many skill caps either. He's going to be a really great wide receiver, and hopefully we can develop him a little bit more too. And you remember Angel Man? He's got a lot of room to grow on that run blocking, but man, doesn't have many skill caps either, and he comes in at an 80 overall as well. I know we've already talked about a lot of these guys, but seeing how much room they have to grow just makes me so much more hopeful for the future. And the best part is, this is the first year where all of them are actually going to start to contribute on the team, so really excited to see what they're going to be able to do. And looking at this board, there are a lot of guys that do have deal breakers, but we also have a lot of guys who have us in their top 10, so let's see if we can actually land a lot of these guys as well. Because even though we were able to land 9 guys in the last class, we're only able to get that 1 guy in the one before. So unfortunately, we only have 10 guys kind of going forward, and I'm a little afraid that we're going to have a really small roster size in a couple of years. And if that's the case and we end up going under 30, I think we're going to have to end the challenge and say that I just can't do it. So that means that we're going to have to bring in pretty much everyone that we can, even that bust quarterback Robinson. But it's nice to get gems like that as well. So hopefully we're going to get a lot of these guys. Hopefully some other teams won't snag them away from us, but it's nice to actually see positions that we need like wide receiver. And that means we are going to have to offer every single one of these guys a scholarship, especially since we only have 19 guys to be able to choose from. But that does mean that we're going to have plenty of hours to put into these guys as well. And I will say it is kind of heartbreaking to see so many hours that are going to waste, but we just don't have many guys that we can choose from. Something must have happened because we do only have 600 hours right now, so I think we're going to put 50 on all of the guys who are gems, and we're going to go with 25 on pretty much everyone else. But before we do get into these games, I think I do want to put Free in. Don't get me wrong, Harold is a great quarterback, but I really want to get Free a lot of experience. Plus, that allows us to have him for pretty much the next 4 years, which is probably about how long we'll have before we end up getting under 30 on the roster size. And thankfully, because of the scholarships, we've climbed up a lot of these guys' boards as well. Unfortunately, we did get locked out on a couple, but it's all right. We still got a lot of guys to choose from. But since there are a limited amount of guys, it's not like we're going to have to do a lot of work each week in recruiting. So let's just advance the week. Let's see if we can take this one from TCU to start. And whether we did or didn't, we ended up climbing up some boards on some of these guys and even got in the top 5 for a couple guys as well. And thankfully, it looks like we did end up coming out on top. And now we're actually ranked 12th, even though you can't see it. And not just that, but we won 38-24. And Free did pretty well. 215 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions as well. We had Hamilton on the ground with 41 yards and a touchdown. Free actually went out on some scrambles, 32 yards and 3 touchdowns himself. No wonder where all those points came from. And not gonna lie, that makes me extremely excited to be able to use him in a game. So let's end up scheduling a couple visits here just so we can actually get them in. Let's get Mokafisi in against Syracuse. That's gonna be a tough game, but I think it's a very winnable one as well. Plus, we already know all 3 of his motivations, and that championship contender is going to be good too, especially since we're ranked right now. And with Nikanza, we only know 1 of his motivations. However, the only 2 that it could possibly be are the team player, as well as the aspirational, and both of them have the proximity to home there, and that is an A+. So we're going to definitely go with that when we schedule the visit. And even though this visit week would only be a +1 if we win and a -3 if we lose because it's a lower tier opponent, it's possible that Louisville could creep up since they're 2-0. So we're really going to have to bring our A games that week. And also after this week, we're going to have to make sure that we're going to put those extra hours back on these guys. And even though we're first on these guys' boards in their top 5, unfortunately, we ended up losing that game, and now we went down to 18th, and we're 1-1. And that might hurt some of our chances on these guys if we can't get some wins again, because that championship contender needs to stay up for a couple of them. But that's also part of the reason why we want to get these guys in on visits so quick, because if we get them in before our championship contender goes down, hopefully we'll be able to sign them before that ends up happening. But thankfully, we have a rivalry game against 0-3 Duke now. Hopefully we'll end up coming out on top on this one, because this is going to be our first conference game. And fortunately, we do. And we end up going up to number 16, and we're up to number 1 on Penny's board, and number 2 on Vernon's. So hopefully we can have a similar outcome against Notre Dame this week, because, again, we have a couple weeks before we have a couple visits. We want to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward. And I was afraid that would happen. We end up dropping that game, and now we are out of the top 25. And unfortunately, we got locked out on 3 players as well. But things get even tougher this week as we have to go into Clemson, who's ranked number 5. And hopefully we can come out with a victory. It's another conference game. But no matter what happens, Sean Penny just ends up committing. We already have our first commit. Right tackle as well. But even with that one commit, it looks like there are 4 other guys that committed to other places. And we did end up dropping the game, and we're down to 2-3. The worst part is it looks like Free ended up getting injured, and Harold's been back in. Free only had 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, but Harold's come in pretty nice. Not just that, but Free also had 5 touchdowns on the ground. Except for really that one against Clemson, but still, a 1-score game is pretty damn close. It looks like we're really going to have to bolster our defense, though. And that's why we're really going to have to schedule visits with both this strong safety and free safety, because if they don't end up committing, I think our defense might be in a little bit of trouble. And that also means that week 12 is probably going to be one of the more important weeks for our visits. So we only have one more week before we get a chance to be able to have those guys in for a visit. And hey, we don't even have to wait for this guy. We got Nikanza already coming in. That means we're going to free up a lot of hours as well. But because we did end up losing, that means that we end up losing France, Oldenburg, and Tiffin. And that makes this week's game against our ranked opponent even more important, because it'd be really great to get Mokafisi as well as Johns. It'd be nice to get another halfback in there. And even though we already have 2 commits, there are only 9 guys left on our board. We already have pretty much everyone on a visit, except for Lockett here, only because we need to figure out his other 2. So we do have Mokafisi as well as Johns coming this week. So Again, we're going to get into this game against ranked Syracuse, who is 3-3. I don't know how they got up to that, but they are at 84 overall. We're at 91. I don't know how we are not playing this well, but let's play these moments and let's see if we can win this one. And this is actually going to be our first look at Free. Kind of curious to see how he is. Because, again, we haven't really gotten a chance to use him. I know he was injured a little earlier in the season, but I'm glad we actually get a chance to use him now. And I think that this guy is actually going to be really, really good going forward, obviously. I'm really hoping that, again, could be the future here. Oh, man, he's got some speed, and he's got a lot of room. Let's go. He's got a nice spin move, and thankfully he holds on to the ball down to the 45. Let's go play action here. Let's see if we can get in the end zone. Doesn't look like... Oh, no, that was a bad throw. That's going to be picked, unfortunately. And unfortunately, that wasn't on Free. That was on me. Thankfully, that didn't result in points, but now we're sitting with a 3rd and 6 to end the first quarter. Let's go, get it out to him. Unfortunately, he does not complete that. And I think we're going to have to go for it on 4th down, to be completely honest with you. It's a 55-yarder. Even though I'm sure that our kicker is pretty good, that does not give me enough confidence to really trust him here. Plus, we only need 6 yards. I'm really hoping that we can get green, but someone's going to get open, damn it. I don't care who it is. It's going to be someone. And it's actually going to be on our feet because we might have a touchdown if we can get out there. Get up there, Free. Hang on. Let's go all the way down to the 8. And I don't know why I'm trying to throw the ball. I mean, we're doing really well with the run. Let's flip it out there, and that is going to be a touchdown to Gauss. And on 4th and 3, we have this game just on lock, man. We are shutting out Syracuse, and we're up 28-0 as we try to get over there. And he ends up completing that, and that's a 1st down. I'll be honest, I did not think that they got that, but you know what? We still get the ball back, and it is still a shutout right now as we get a nice spin move, and that's going to be a 1st down. So let's see if we can get another score here. That would be really awesome because our offense is just firing on all cylinders as Billups stays up and he gets in the end zone, just fights forward for that one. And how our team is 3-3 after that performance against Syracuse just absolutely blows my mind. And Joey Free getting player of the game, 171 passing yards, I know. But man, those rushing yards are definitely what did it for him. Because he had 102 yards on the ground with 1 touchdown. And I'm sorry, did I say 3-3? I meant 3-4. So let's advance the week and let's see if anyone ends up committing. We had these 2 guys and we played a really great game. And we ended up getting Mokafisi, which is great. We needed a free safety. And we ended up getting Larry Johns as well. Let's go. Unfortunately, though, Bernard Vernon ended up committing to Alabama. So even though we only have 1 guy visiting this week, it's going to be a pretty important one. He is a 5-star gem at a wide receiver. You can always use those. So that means we need to take down Louisville at home. Now, they're a 78 overall with a 77 defense. I really hope that Joey Free just throws all over these guys. So already into the 4th quarter, we're sitting at a 7-7 tie. A little tough right now, but thankfully we're able to pick up the 1st down on this 3rd and 1. And the best part is, I think we're definitely going to be able to get in here for a score. Let's go with the jet sweep. We get out there. Culver is fast enough. Get the spin move. We get in there. And gets all the way down to the 2-yard line. And on 1st and goal, we're just going to run it right up the middle with our quarterback, which is not the right idea. And maybe throwing for it isn't the best idea either, but we're going to find a way to end up getting out. What are you doing? Get the block? Oh my gosh! I think that was a glitch, but somehow we got the block and we get in for the score. And in the red zone, we're up by that 1 score still, but they do have all 3 timeouts, so we just need 1 1st down. Or at least getting closer to it. And we can definitely get up to that 1st down marker for sure. Get up there, Billups, all the way up to the 1st down. I think we're going to be able to put this game away. So 1st and goal, I actually don't mind just punching the ball in right here. I would love to get our points, and there we go. We get in for another score, and now we're up 2 possessions, Hamilton. And thankfully on 3rd and 2, up 2 possessions, we can just kneel the ball, and we can get out of this with the dub. Or we can add insult to injury and try to get 3 more points as we end up kicking that one wide left. That's alright, we still win this game. And we do take another conference game. We win 21-7, and hopefully we're going to see at least 1 commit on that next board. And Free with 2 touchdowns, only 139 passing yards, but still enough to be player of the game. I mean, he did only have 15 pass attempts, and he had 139 with that 1 touchdown. But he was definitely a pretty big factor on the ground as well. 7 for 14 and a touchdown. Hamilton 47 and a touchdown too. And even though we haven't had the best year, we're still kind of there in a logjam atop the conference. But we do have 4 more weeks to be able to potentially stay atop there. And look at that, we did end up landing that receiver that we really wanted to get. as well as Ibrahim as well, a tight end. Unfortunately, we do have 2 weeks until these guys end up visiting, and unfortunately, it looks like we're kind of slipping out of the race. I really hope that they end up waiting. The good thing is at least we have some pretty winnable games coming up, so if we can take down Pittsburgh, I think we're going to be in a good spot too. And fortunately, we do win and get back to the top 25 up to number 24. However, unfortunately, we see 4 guys who committed to schools that are not us. But the good news is Joey Free, the ACC Offensive Player of the Week with 248 and 2 touchdowns. And after losing out on these 4, we really don't have to worry about week 12 anymore. It's all about week 13. And unfortunately, we are losing 4 defensive players. We're really going to have to recruit hard on those guys next year. So we do really only have 1 more guy left on our list, and hopefully a good game against Virginia is going to allow us to be able to land him. But it is unfortunate that we lost down so many good defensive players. We only got 1, and look at that. We don't even have to worry about playing that game in week 13. Looks like we got Brian Warrior to commit. And thankfully we did end up winning as well. We're up to number 18. We're 6-4 and 5-1 in conference. That also means that if we look at the conference standings, we're there tied to top with Miami and Virginia. I thought that we were going to have no shot at the playoffs, but we might actually have a shot. And as you can see, we do have a class of 7 guys. Still not as many as we wanted, but still not bad and a lot better than that first season. Now this was going to be a big game for us in terms of recruiting, but it's an even bigger game for us now just in general. The winner of this one is going to be atop the conference standings, and I'm hoping that it's going to be us. But judging by that small amount of XP, I'm guessing we ended up losing. So maybe now we are out of the running for the conference, but at the same time, hopefully we're still going to be able to go to a bowl game, and hopefully we can take this game against NC State as well. I'm really hoping there are going to be a couple of transfers that are 5 stars, but in the past that really hasn't been the case as we end up dropping to 6-6. Oh my gosh, that's not good. And we have a couple guys that are going to want to transfer too. And even though our defensive coordinator is a master motivator, he hasn't really been that great for us. Our defense hasn't been great, so we're going to end up firing him, and hopefully we can find a better one. So at the end of the season, we end up number 8 in conference at 5-3, and we end the season at 6-6. And looking at season stats, Joey Free wasn't too bad. Only 5 interceptions. I'll take credit for a couple of those. But still, 2,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, but he was great on the ground. 428 yards, and you got to take into account a lot of those sacks, but 9 touchdowns on the ground. Hamilton 629 and 7 touchdowns. Need to work him in a little bit more. We don't have any 1,000-yard receivers, but Taylor and Billups both over 700. Billups with 8 touchdowns, Taylor with 4. Culliver ended up having 8 touchdowns and 673. A lot of good targets here. And the Heisman winner didn't even have 1,000 yards. He had 907 with 14 touchdowns. But look at that. Zach Rice ended up winning Best Interior Lineman. That's awesome. Nice to see the fact that we end up getting an award winner, and we do get into the Gasparilla Bowl. I can't remember if it was this season or last season, but we end up dropping to UCF, so hopefully we can get a little bit of revenge too. But unfortunately, we didn't get many opportunities to jump in the game because the offense wasn't really clicking. We end up going down 17-3. I don't know how, but Joey Free with 5 interceptions in that game? That's ridiculous. He only had 19 yards, but obviously because of sacks as well. He just didn't end up running it. I wonder why we were passing so much. I mean, don't get me wrong. We accounted for one of those picks, but at the same time, I don't know where the other 4 went. He hasn't been throwing that much. By the way, I totally missed this, but early National Signing Day, we're going to get a chance to see what the development trade is for these guys. As Warriors in impact, we got Penny as an elite. Nikanza as an elite as well. Same with Mokafisi. Let's go. Impact on Johns. Cootie is an elite too. And Ibrahim is a star. Dude, we have some really incredible traits on these guys. If there's any positive to take out of that bowl game, it's that. So unfortunately, again, we do drop to 6-7. We're a 3-star school, but still have a 91 overall. So unfortunately, it's the time to see the guys who want to leave. And unfortunately, remember Lacoste, he wants to end up leaving because we're not a championship contender. We have a low persuasion chance, but we got to give it a shot. And no, we end up losing him. That is a rough loss. But let's see if we can keep Hollings here because we got a really good chance at it. And thankfully we do. That's going to be another tight end that stays. But we do see a lot of guys leaving to graduation. But a couple guys, including Rice and Green, as well as Culliver, who have a chance to go in the pro draft. And looking at it, all 3 of them did. Rice went in the 1st round, Green in the 4th, and Culliver in the 5th. Went ahead of his projection. And honestly, that's going to be really great for the pro potential too. So the transfer portal is up. So let's see, are there any 5-star prospects? No, they're not. And unfortunately, that means that we're only going to have a 7-player class. The good news, though, is that we get the Master Motivator unlocked. That's really great if we want to put some more into that. But since we don't have anyone to recruit, we can just go to National Signing Day, and we're going to be able to get to see everyone that we ended up signing. And then we're going to be able to switch around some of the positions as well. So again, just one more look at them. We got Brian Warrior, who is going to be a great wide receiver for us. He has 90 spec catch, 85 catch in traffic, 98 jumping, 91 speed. I think he's going to be really good. We got a right tackle with Sean Penny, who's an 89 strength, the pass block finesse and run block finesse in the 80s, and the pass block 77. I think he's going to be really great on the line. Nikanza, again, that elite development, 95 speed out of the gate with a 92 acceleration. You got Mokafisi at free safety. Thank the Lord we ended up getting one. He's got a 90 speed right away. That's great. 80 play recognition. We got Larry Johns being able to get into the backfield. 94 speed, 92 acceleration. He might be the future in the backfield as well, especially if we end up losing Hamilton. Cody is going to be an elite development trait as well with a 97 speed out of the gate. He's going to be really great on the outside. And then Ibrahim as well is going to be a star development, 82 strength. Not bad with the blocking, but honestly, I think he's going to be really great as a receiving tight end as well. Even though we don't see any of those stats there, I have a feeling we can definitely develop him into that. So we do have Hamilton for one more season, and he is an 87 overall. We're going to have to keep him back there. But Johns comes in at a 76, and we might end up redshirting him. But since I want Johns to get some carries, I think Gauss would actually work really well as a fullback, so let's move him there. Now, we do have a ton of receivers. Cody ends up coming in at an 80 overall with that 97 speed. Green has gone up to a 99 speed and acceleration as a junior. We're going to have him for another year after this too. But I talked about how thin we are at cornerback. And even though Ostergaard could actually be really great as a tight end, and even one of the safeties as well, I think I'm going to put him at corner for now, and if we need to change him next season, we can always do that too. Now, we are a little thin at guard too, so Desmond Jackson, who is our backup left tackle, is probably going to move to left guard. And unfortunately, even though we have 2 middle linebackers, we don't have a right outside linebacker, which means that Evan Bennett here is unfortunately going to have to go to the right side. The good thing is he does go up in overall, so that's really nice to have. Now, Mokafisi ends up coming in at a 79 overall, but since there is a senior over at strong safety, we're going to have a little bit of a need there. So let's end up putting him over there, and let's see if he can be our starting strong safety next season. Now, unfortunately, again, one of the downsides to not being able to recruit anyone outside of 5 stars, we don't have a kicker, which means I think that's just going to be filled in with a walk-on. But again, my favorite part of every season, the training results. Let's see how everyone did. Patterson ends up going to a 93. Okay, hopefully our defense is going to be a little better, especially in the secondary, especially since we see that Ziegler is up to an 85 as well. Now, we have a lot of offensive players that are up in pretty high overalls too. Hamilton's a 90. We got Abraham, who's an 87 as a sophomore. How did he climb so high? Let's look at these receivers. Abraham is an 87, Billups 86, Taylor an 85, Green an 82. We're looking pretty damn good. And in fact, that's enough to put us up to a 93 overall and a 95 defense. I want to see who do we have on defense that's bringing us up that high. Left end and right end are an 85. Defensive tackle 83, 81, 85, and 83 on the linebackers. 84, 83, 82, 82, 93 on Patterson. That definitely helps out in the 85 in Ziegler. I don't know how we're a 95 overall on defense, but I'll take it. So the other best part of the year, encouraging the transfers. And looking at our roster size, we're at 42, which means that if we don't get a good amount of guys in the next class, we might end up failing this challenge and we might go below 30. But hopefully we can still end up getting a handful of guys, especially when we look at how many guys are going to be available, and hopefully we can get enough guys to be able to keep it above 30. And actually, before we get into season number 4, Jaden Patterson is a first-team National All-American, and he's also first-team ACC, of course, since he is obviously the national one as well. And we actually have Christian Hamilton as a halfback as well in the second team. And it does look like we did end up getting a kicker as a walk-on who's a 65 overall. I think that's going to be a little tough. So it looks like Nikanza came in at a 72 overall, Ibrahim at a 74, Penny at a 75, Johns at a 76, and of course Mokafisi and Warrior at a 79, and Cody is at 80. Again, I think he is going to be really great. I want to see what his caps are. Oh man, he's got some room to grow. Maybe not on the quickness, but pretty much everything else. And Mokafisi's skill caps are pretty much non-existent. doesn't have a lot in his actual stats, but still coming in as 79 and a lot of room to grow. I think that's going to be really incredible. And just a quick recap of the depth chart just to see everyone that we have recruited and not. Obviously, Joey Free is our starting quarterback. Urban is someone that we also recruited as well, who is the backup. The only one that we've recruited here has been Johns. I think he's going to be a great starter next year. We do have Abraham at wide receiver, and same with Cody, as well as Warrior. And I can't believe how far Abraham has already jumped up. Abraham is also going to be out there as well. I don't think he's going to really start this year, but if things happen, then hey, you never know. We also have Angel Man as well. He's going to be really great. I have a lot of high hopes for him coming out. We also have Kevin Murphy, as well as Ryan Mayer, and even Sean Penny as well. He's going to be good if we need him to fill in. And even Jerry Landman. Our offensive line is pretty much everyone that we ended up recruiting. Now, on the defensive side, that might be a little bit different, unfortunately. But we'll still get more defensive players as the game really goes on. I feel like we can end up landing more. We're just going to have to really focus on that. But Ostergaard is one of the guys that we ended up getting. And Tavita Hunter as well 2 years ago. I guess that would have been last year then, but you understand what I mean. And also in the secondary, we have Mokafisi, who is going to, again, be a really great strong safety for us going forward. So again, we have a lot of the guys that we ended up recruiting who are starting now. Mostly on offense, don't get me wrong, but still, a lot of the guys. So now our challenge really kind of starts because we are kind of whittling down all the players that we had before, and now we're replacing them with a lot of really good players, but just not a lot of them. And as you see with our kicker, we're going to have to bring in a couple of walk-ons that are going to be very low overalls to be able to kind of fill in the gaps. Again, we'll be able to actually switch some of these guys to other positions that they might be able to thrive in, but at the same time, again, this is where the challenge starts in Season 4. So that means that we're going to have to add every single 5-star that we have on this board. And unfortunately, with all of these deal breakers, it doesn't look like we're going to have a ton. And unfortunately, that is the case because there are only 23 guys that we can go after, and not a ton that are necessarily interested in us. We have a couple, but not a lot. The good thing, though, is that should allow us enough hours to be able to scout everyone and be able to give them scholarships, too. And thankfully, we have a couple gems here, too. We even have a D tackle, which is going to be great because, again, we need a lot of help on our defense, and including another wide receiver, too. We might have to actually spread them out to other positions, too. Maybe some guys on defense. And we even have Austin Braun, who has us number 1 on his list and is a 5-star gem, too. And after offering all these guys some scholarships, I'm really hoping that we jump up on their boards, too. And the crazy thing is we actually have 7 gems on the board right here. I'm hoping that we can actually land a couple of them, too. But that does mean that we really need to play well during this season because we really need to keep that championship contender up and be able to sway some guys. But unfortunately, we already see that Telvin Wells already narrowed it down to his top 8, and we are not a part of that. But at this point right now, we're really prioritizing the gems and the guys that have us atop. Plus, I feel if we go all out on a handful of these guys, we might be able to sign them early and be able to free up some of the hours for later in the season too. So let's get into game 1 on the road against Purdue. Let's hope we can start off on the right foot and be able to get a win. And fortunately, we do. We're sitting at 1-0 right now. However, unfortunately, there are a lot of guys that ended up locking us out because they've reached their top 8. And Jaden Patterson, ACC Defensive Player of the Week in Week 0. 2 interceptions and 2 tackles, man. Great game. Now, thankfully, that does end up freeing up some hours so we can actually place more on other guys, but we are going to end up leaving them up on the board just in case they open it back up. Because how many times have we had a couple of guys that locked us out, but then opened it up back later? So we want to keep them on there just in case, especially since we have a limited amount of guys to go after. And now we have a chance to be able to get some revenge because UCF beat us twice last season, including in the bowl game. So let's see if we can take it to them this week. And unfortunately, per usual, we end up getting beat. And this game wasn't even close. It was 34-17. We didn't score until the second half. Free through for 276 and 2 touchdowns with 1 interception. But we got nothing on the ground for the most part. That does look like Abraham had a 100-yard game. That's not bad. Now, thankfully, a couple of these guys opened back up, but I don't think we have enough hours to be able to place any on them. But if we do take away the 25 that we had on the top guy and add another, I think, 10 back to him, we can add 5 to these guys and maybe just keep them interested. And surprisingly enough, we actually have a couple guys who are ready for a visit, so I think we might actually try to free this up and schedule them as soon as possible. Maybe a game against Virginia, because it looks like it's going to be a rivalry game, so may as well. And thankfully, Athletic Facilities is an A- for him, so let's end up bringing them in and doing that as well. If we can get these guys in early and we're able to really kind of coax them in, again, that's going to free up a couple things as well. And by that, I do mean extra hours so we can recruit other guys, but unfortunately, I don't think we can bring DeLuca in on a visit yet. It would be nice to bring him in really soon, but we really need to figure out what his other motivations are. But even though week 6 is going to be a big week, so is week 2, because we're playing number 3 Michigan. and I do not have high hopes for this one. And unfortunately, we do end up losing it. We're 1-2 and our championship contender goes down. And thankfully, with a couple other guys that are ready for visits and we already know what their motivations are, we're going to schedule them for week 6 as well. Again, that is going to be an extremely big game, so we need to make sure that we definitely bring it for that one. But let's hope we can bounce back as a team against UConn. They are 1-2 this season, so are we. We need to bring it back to 500 ASAP. And surprisingly enough, we don't. We're 93 overall, and we're sitting at 1-3. And unfortunately, without any commits, it's not like there's much that we can really do in terms of recruiting. We'll be able to schedule a couple other guys for visits in the coming weeks, but if we don't beat Stanford right here, it's pretty much going to be all for naught. I don't know if any of these guys want to come here. And there are 3 guys that committed to Oregon. Wow, that is rough for us. But at least we didn't end up bouncing back somehow. And we're sitting at 2-3 and 1-0 in conference. What's rough is we were going to schedule him for a visit, but unfortunately it looks like Oregon takes him away quickly. But now that we have some hours freed up, that means that we can actually spread it around. And as much as I would love to wait until the Virginia Tech game to play that one because of the minimal, risk there, I think we're going to have to do it against FSU. Again, we really want to get them in soon. And again, as much as I'd love to go Duke as well, I think week 10 is just way too far down the road. Same type of deal with Hakeem here. It'd be great to wait, but again, FSU's got to be what it is. But let's advance and get ready for week 6, which again, is going to be a really important game here because we have a lot of really good players visiting, and we need to really impress them here. But unfortunately, Emmanuel Hakeem ends up committing to Miami before we even get a chance to bring them in. So week 6 and week 8 are definitely going to be the most important ones, and that starts against Virginia here, who's an 83 overall. We have a 10-point difference over them. I feel like we should have a good shot here. But unfortunately, midway through the third quarter, looks like we are struggling just a little bit. But it's alright, we have a chance to get in the end zone right now, as we're about to, but we end up getting stopped short at the 1. So let's just pound this one into the end zone, or we can just go for the RPO, as we do, and Johns gets free, and that is going to be a big touchdown for us as we tie it up. And thankfully, our defense gives it back to us, and we have a chance to take the lead right here. Phillips gets up. Can't quite get in the end zone, though. But we're going to go and run to the outside since they're kind of stuffed in the middle there. We get a hole up the middle, and we got ourselves a touchdown and the first lead of the day. And now all we have to do is preserve this lead. We just can't do anything stupid here, which I know we've been prone to do before, but Hamilton gets up. He's actually almost got a first down. The downside is that ends up stopping the clock without them using the timeout. And now we really have to pick up this first down as we get through, as we get that first. Let's go. At this point, we just need to hold on to the ball and make sure that we can run it down to the 2-minute warning. No, and that's going to be a flag. Please don't tell me that's a hold. But of course it is, and we get pushed back just a little bit. But that's still not going to stop me from running, as we just try to go right up the middle. Pretty decent block, but we can't get out. And unfortunately, they do have the full 2 minutes, but no timeouts to be able to get it. And let's just hope that we can make this field goal, and we get it right down the middle, and we got a 2-possession lead. And of course they score, but now we just have to recover this onside kick. 52 seconds left. Come on, someone get it. There we go. Now dive and just stay down. Way to go, Cootie. And thankfully that recovery is enough to be able to allow us to win 27-24. Really glad we're able to pick up the win in the rivalry game. I have a lot of faith in this offense, to be honest with you. Because even though Freed didn't have a ton of touchdowns, he had 171 yards, 1 touchdown and interception. He had a 75% completion percentage, and he did well on the ground too. 10 for 75 and a touchdown. Hamilton got in the end zone, and we even had some really good receivers, despite the fact that no one got over even 50 yards. But Johns got out there for his first touchdown of the season. So I shouldn't really be that surprised when I see Mawai committing. Wide receiver, 5-star. And we have Austin Braun as well. We've got ourselves a defensive player. And Tyree Balkasoon? I am going to mispronounce that all season, but we got ourselves an offensive lineman. And that is going to be 3 commits. However, we do see that 3 other ones committed to other schools, including another one to Oregon. The worst part is he was going to be one of our bigger recruits to come in week 8, but unfortunately, now he's just gone. And unfortunately, we go down to number 4 in Mendenhall's list, and unfortunately, we can't bring him in for a visit. Even though he is scheduled for a week 8 visit, so I don't know if he's going to be visiting or not. So just quickly looking at the stats halfway through the season, Free's at almost 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But he's got 251 on the ground. Hamilton's got 194. They're both averaging something pretty decent, but we need to score a little bit more. And also want to check in on some of our recruits. Abraham, 365 and 2 touchdowns. That's awesome. So as we get to another big week in week 8 because of a couple of visits, James Thrasher ends up committing another center. It's nice to be able to get those offensive linemen and a defensive lineman as well, and Isaac McKnight. Now, we pretty much got everyone scheduled for a visit. Unfortunately, Eli Bryant is locked out for both these weeks, just because he's got other visits, which sucks because that'd be some pretty good complimentary visits, especially against Virginia Tech. But the positive thing is with all of these hours and all of those visits scheduled, we could just max out the hours on every single player here. And even though a lot of those commits were ones that were going to come on week 8, we still have 2 big ones here with Booker and Boyer. So what do you say we get into this ACC matchup against Florida State, and let's hope that we can get a couple more added to the 5 that have already committed. Now they're an 85 overall with an 87 offense, so hopefully our defense can handle them. Our defense is up at a 95, so there's no reason why they shouldn't. So hopefully this will be an easy game. Hopefully we can advance and stay undefeated in conference. Or did we end up losing a game? I honestly can't remember. Either way, though, let's see if we can end up picking up a first down here as they end up blitzing, and we are not going to be able to come anywhere close. And looks like we're going to be starting the game with a really, really tough kick here. This is going to be a little rough. It's a walk-on kicker. Can he hit it? That's deep. Is it enough? It is! Holy cow, man! We got an absolute gem here who just walked on. Doesn't a kick like that just make you happy? Am I right? So let's go for the screen here on 3rd and 9. Let's see if we can pick it up. Wow, that was a long throwing motion, but we still get it. Nice little try, and the juke just runs all over him. My goodness, man, I'm going to miss him when he leaves, because Hamilton has been an absolute star out of the backfield. I know it's mostly been free, but for the most part, he's been great too. And you better believe we are going to end up going for it. I'm sorry, 4th and 3 this close? No way we're not going to go for this. Come on. Right. There we go. Good catch by Hamilton, and he ends up getting out. Glad we trust him enough. But realistically, that was a really dumb throw. So let's try not to do that again. And let's try to just pick up a first down, if not more, and we couldn't hit the hole. We got tripped up. So maybe we can get Johns another touchdown here with the RPO. He is going to be open. Let's go. And he gets out there. Can he get in the end zone? He does. And we got ourselves a 10-point lead. And I don't know what the hell I was worried about with our defense. They haven't really even gotten into our territory for that for the most part. And even though we should be smart and take our 3 points, I feel pretty good about this, that we can pick this up as we get to green for a 1st and goal. Let's go for the screen here. Let's see if we can get Hamilton into the end zone. I think we can. If he cuts it up, let's go. Follow the blocks. And we got ourselves a touchdown. Man, he is so shifty too. So as we ride this 3-possession lead, I think we're going to be able to score potentially yet again. If we can get out, can we get out of bounds? No, we cannot. And we get sacked for a loss of 4. And honestly, I'm really happy they tackled us. I have no idea why he's trying to run out of bounds on that one. Let's go. Yeah, no, that was a really bad pass. But unfortunately, we can't wind it down to the 2-minute because someone got injured. So let's make this a 20-point game. And let's hope that we can put this one out now. And thankfully, that is how it ends. Yes, our defense gave up a touchdown late, but they were just absolutely locked down all day. 20-7 win there. Hopefully we'll get 2 commits now. And of course, Hamilton gets player of the game. 9 rush attempts, 70 yards, man. That is a crazy average. And even though Free only had 75 yards, he had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was mostly on the ground. Hamilton was great. And not just that, but he was great in the air as well, because he was the only one that really eclipsed 10 yards in this game. Not going to count Johns there with that one for a touchdown as well. So it's great that we can take down Florida State, but our offense really needs to pick it up a bit, because that was a pretty pathetic game. But that was still enough to be able to get Abdul Sands to end up committing a right tackle. And unfortunately, that was it, as we see Eli Bryan ends up committing to LSU. He was the guy that we weren't able to end up bringing in for a visit anyway, so honestly, could have been a lot worse. But unfortunately, neither of the guys that we ended up bringing in for a visit ended up committing, but we are getting close on Booker. And even though we are close to having some of these guys commit, still a little worried on a couple of the other guys, especially Keener here, who has us down at number 3 and no real shot of coming up. But Bradbury did end up moving us up above K-State, and hopefully we can catch up to Colorado, especially since he is visiting Week 10. But first, our team really needs to focus on Week 9 at Georgia Tech, because we're still undefeated in ACC play. And look at that, Kenoy ends up committing, and Taryn Booker. Do we get one more? No, we don't, but that's great to be able to get the quarterback and halfback. I'm hoping that we can still be able to show out this week and be able to get another 1 or 2. And thankfully, we do end up taking down Georgia Tech. We're 5-3 now with a 4-0 conference record. But it is tough to end up missing out on Boyer, who ended up committing to Ohio State. Wish we could have got him, especially for our defensive line. And same kind of thing with Bradbury, who did end up committing to Colorado. I wish he could have just waited 1 more week. So we do have a shot at 3 more players, but we've already had 8 commit, but unfortunately only 2 of them are defensive players. But the good news is the right tackle, Keener, ended up moving us up a little bit, and we're getting closer to Georgia. And if we really want to land Beach and Cushenberry, We really need to show out this week and be able to beat Duke. I mean, they are an 80 overall and not necessarily having the best season. And again, we're at 93 and we're doing pretty damn well. Let's see if we can go out there and be able to pick up our third win that we've hopped into. I said it before and I'll say it again. Our offense just really needs to pick it up because we have not really gotten anything going except for this play over to Abraham, who gets down to the 9-yard line. So we should wait till the 2-minute warning, but we're going to snap this one and we're going to get it out to Abraham, who doesn't quite get up to the end zone. But if we can pick up someone on the drag right here, I think we'll be able to end up getting a score. We got Billups, baby, and we got the first score of the game in the second quarter. And why not try to get some more points, right? Let's try to just run this one up the middle. There we go. Free looks a little slow right now, but let's just slide. He didn't slide and he got taken down. We're looking pretty damn good here. I am loving what we're doing. Let's go. Can we get Abraham deep? No, we can't. Unfortunately, he gets stopped. He had a shot, but just apparently not a good enough of a one. That is a really terrible throw, Free. Where are we going with that one? Yes, I make a ton of mistakes in this game, but at least that one didn't end up in points. Now we have a chance to make it a 2-possession lead. Just need to make sure that we actually get that. No. Doinked. But man, our defense is just effing holding them down, man. What the hell is going on here? There we go. We end up getting rid of it, and that's going to be a 4th and 3 now. If you think I'm not going for it, you're absolutely crazy. Come on now. What are we doing? Let's go. Wide open. We got Billups, and we got it down to the 13-yard line. Let's just run some clock. Because even if it would be nice to be able to get some more points, a win is all we really need. I mean, 14 points is kind of pathetic, but still, it's enough to be able to keep us in the running for the conference championship. But now we can just make them waste their timeouts. It'd be nice to be able to get one more first down and stay out of the end zone, and that's just going to make it a 3rd and 1. So let's just run this one up the middle. I know it's an RPO, but still, it's enough to be able to get there. Fall short. Let's go. We got ourselves to the 1-yard line, and now we can just finish this out. But am I really selfish enough to be able to go for another score? Yeah, why not? I know our defense looks great, but still, it'd be nice to be able to get another offensive touchdown. And that'll actually allow us to run off a little bit more clock, so maybe our defense can pitch a shutout. Let's get this up the middle, and thankfully they'll run out even more clock. Let's get this one more shot to the outside. Let's go. Oh, you missed your block, buddy. Come on. Well, let's give it one more shot. It is going to be the last play of the game. This might be picked off, but I really want to hit Abraham for a touchdown. Buddy deserves it. Get out there. Let's go. Yeah, never mind. We're going to get sacked, but that's the end of the game. Who gives a damn? Even if we don't get that touchdown, we win 14-0. Again, our offense is not looking great, but our defense is just doing incredible. Because Freak did have 2 interceptions, but he had 2 touchdowns, 183. But again, our ground game is what it was. I mean, Hamilton did only average 4.4. We didn't get in the end zone that way, but still, he was pretty dominant on the ground and allowed us to kind of throw here. Abraham did have a touchdown with 75 yards. Bill up 54 in the touchdown as well. And thankfully, not only does that win against Duke allow us to, again, stay undefeated in ACC play, but Monty Beach ends up committing, and unfortunately that was it, as Keener ends up going to Georgia. So I guess that means we don't have to play Week 11. But unfortunately, we still need to really kind of keep an eye on Cushenberry because we need to get him to commit. We're getting pretty close, but Ole Miss is really creeping up. Plus, it does look like it's going to be a pretty easy game against Virginia Tech, so hopefully I won't eat those words as we simulate. Let's hope that we go 7-3 and be able to stay undefeated in conference play. Hopefully that's a good sign because Cushenberry ends up committing, and that means we have another defensive player. But we end up dropping that one. Are you kidding? Guys, there go our chances. But despite that, Alex Taylor was the ACC Offensive Player of the Week with 116 yards and 3 touchdowns. And it was such a close one too, 36-33, after our defense was just playing absolutely stellarly, if that's even a word. But Free, 327, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, got sacked twice, but still. Hamilton, 43 yards, Free, 21 on the ground despite those sacks. Again, Taylor, as you saw, ACC Offensive Player of the Week, 116, 3 touchdowns. Ship still at 98. Abraham 43, Billups 50. So we spread it around a little bit, but it looks like Taylor was his favorite. So at this point, we pretty much have our entire class until we get to the transfer portal. We ended up signing 10 guys this time, which means that hopefully that'll keep our roster size up. But it's nice to see that we actually have a little bit of diversity in positions and guys that might be able to be moved around elsewhere. So let's just send through our final 2 weeks. Hopefully we can just win out. We should be able to take down Wake Forest here. They're 2-8. So it shouldn't be a difficult matchup. And thankfully it didn't, but Sim needs to really treat us pretty well here because as we look at the conference standings right now, we are first, tied with Pittsburgh. So if it stays the way it is and we don't end up dropping this last game, we should be able to be in the conference championship game. But it's going to be a tough one in Sim against NC State. They are ranked. Let's hope that we can get a miracle here and end up winning. Holy cow. And Alex Taylor, another ACC Offensive Player of the Week. 241 and 3 touchdowns. If we didn't win, I'm going to go nuts. I'm guessing that means we did. We go up to 23 in the nation, and now we're going to be facing Pittsburgh in the ACC championship game. And the downside to that is Eli Holstein, who is the quarterback for Pittsburgh, is on the Heisman list right now and is currently second compared to Landon Bell, who actually had a really good game with 132 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, 97 rush yards and a rushing touchdown too. But we really can't let that faze us because we need to really go into this game and make sure that we pick up the victory. It's going to be a tough one again because Pittsburgh is pretty good. They're 10-2 this season, 7-1 in conference, but we do have the advantage in overall. We're at 94 right now because of boosts. They're at 87, so hopefully we can end up taking them out. Just for that, we're going to end up going with different uniforms though. So let's go with that current home throwback, and let's see if the throwbacks allow us to be able to pick up this one and be able to get that ACC championship. But unfortunately, we find ourselves down in the second quarter, as we end up having to throw that one away, and that's going to be a 4th and 4. But of course, we are going to go for it because that's the kind of guy I am, as we end up hitting Taylor. I know that's been one of his best targets lately, so let's see if we can make sure that he continues to be that way, especially down here in the red zone. Because if he can continue to get in, that would be extremely nice. But this time we're going to go with Abraham, one of the guys that we did end up recruiting. Let's see if he can get out there on a jet touch pass. He's got some pretty good speed. Let's go. He's got the edge. And Abraham's got his first touchdown of the game, and we tie it back up. But unfortunately, I am such garbage on defense that they end up getting the score. However, it looks like they did not end up getting the extra points, so we just need to be careful here and make sure that we score. And then make sure we actually get the extra point too. Now, as much as I'd like to score really quickly, I know that might not be the best strategy because we need them. Oh, we should have kept running to the outside. But we need to really keep them from getting the ball back. But if they allow us to just get the streak here, that would be even better. Let's go. Taylor's too fast. He gets down there to the 20-yard line, and now we can start to milk things a little bit. But the downside to wasting the clock right here is the fact that we don't know if we're going to get in the end zone. But we need to find a way as Hamilton gets up to the first down. But that clock keeps ticking as we go in motion here and try to run right up the middle. As we get some good blocks, we get to the outside. Oh, I don't want to score, but I need to. Unfortunately, it's going to come down to this. It is 3rd and 10. We need to make the stop. We can't allow them to get into field goal range. Come on, defense. You guys have been so good. And fortunately, we do end up stopping them. We pick up the win, baby. We end up holding them. They don't get a field goal, and we win the ACC championship 21-20. Now, I wish that game was exciting as the score actually made it be, but it really wasn't that exciting. We threw a lot of interceptions there. A lot of them on me, don't get me wrong, but still, enough to be able to come out on top. And yeah, 3 interceptions, not great, but 208, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, we had Free get out there on a couple of runs. Hamilton, though, 49 yards and a touchdown, almost average 10. Billups, 58. Taylor, 70 and a touchdown. He has been really, really good. And despite my garbage defensive playing, we end up having 7 TFLs. No interceptions, no sacks, though. So again, not the most exciting game, but again, allows us to win the conference championship, and that might allow us to get into the playoffs. And with those 3 TFLs, Evan Bennett ended up winning the ACC Defensive Player of the Week. Then again, it was the ACC championship, so we were really the only ones playing. But either way, we'll take that. And also Alex Taylor, ACC Offensive Player of the Week with 70 yards and a touchdown. And Eli Holstein, the quarterback from Pittsburgh, who we just ended up facing, won the Heisman with just under 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And we end up getting the Birmingham Bowl. We aren't able to get into the playoffs this season. But somehow Pittsburgh still ends up getting in despite the fact that we ended up beating them. But it looks like the automatic bids ended up going to better teams than us, unfortunately. And Colorado snuck in with a 9-4 record. Then again, we were 9-4 as well, but I guess it's just that prime difference. Either way, let's get into the early National Signing Day, and we can get a chance to actually see what some of the development traits on these guys are. As we see that Cushenberry is a star. Beach is an impact player. Keno is an elite. Ooh, if something happens to Free, we might have our backup here. Booker is a star. We got normal development on Abdul Sands. That's rough. Mawai is an elite as well. That is insane. 97 speed. Our wide receiver room is insane. We might have to move a couple of them to defense if they're able to transfer well. Balkasoon is going to be an elite. Braun is an elite. Thrasher is impact, and McKnight is an elite. We have so many elite development traits in this class. This is incredible. So that means that I think next year might be a year that we have a chance of being able to make the playoffs. But since I am so salty about not making it this time, we're just going to sim it. I don't care if we win the Birmingham Bowl or not. Although that win would have been really good for us in terms of recruiting, and it looks like we got it anyways. And man, was it a close one. 30-28. We only had 3 points in the fourth quarter, but it doesn't look like we needed it too much. We had 2 touchdowns, 286 from free. The ground game was working pretty well. Hamilton, 46 yards and a touchdown. Gauss got in with a touchdown as well. And then Billups put up a 100-yard game with 2 touchdowns. Abraham with 87. Taylor with 60. Defensively, we ended up having 3 sacks as well as 1 interception too. So nice to see that the defense kind of showed up despite the fact that they gave up so many points. So let's just sim to the national championship game. Let's see who ends up getting in. And let's just kind of focus on next season. Let's see if we can end up getting some good transfers in. Maybe there'll be a 5-star that's going to be available. And hopefully we can coach them into coming to our school. And it looks like it's going to be Notre Dame against Ohio State. That's actually going to be a really good game. I'm interested to see who ends up winning. And of course, it does go to Ohio State, 21-17. That had to have been a good game. But let's see who ends up leaving. Unfortunately, we do have one player who wants to transfer, and that's left guard, Desmond Jackson. Hopefully we can get him to stay. We can use all the offensive linemen we can get, and we don't. Now, it does look like Patterson and Hamilton are projected to go in the first round. That's awesome. But other than that, it doesn't look like we're losing too many guys. We might actually replenish everyone that left. But let's take a look at the draft results. Did they go in the first round? You bet they did, man. We got 2 first-rounders in this draft. But now to the transfer portal, where we see that there are 0 5-star prospects. So let's just get through the offseason. And let's get into changing positions and seeing the training results. So the crazy thing is that Kenoy actually comes in at an 81 overall. Maybe not as fast as the other 2 guys, but still good if we need to go beyond a couple extra seasons. Not just that, but Taryn Booker ends up coming in at a 78 overall and might actually start over Johns. And it looks like Mawai ends up coming in at a 79. He might actually be able to start over Warrior as well, especially with that speed. But really, our wide receiver room is so good, so much so that I might try to move one of them over to tight end. Let's see if any of them are good enough. And even though Mawai comes in at an 81 overall for a halfback, he's an 80 overall for a tight end. And imagine having this kid with so much speed at tight end, because he ends up slotting in as our top one, and he beats everyone by about 20 points in speed. A 97 speed tight end. And unfortunately, we're sitting without a right guard right now, so Ty Romero goes up to a 79 when we put him over there. And it looks like we have Braun and Cushenberry, and I think we're going to have to put one of them over on the left end, because we only have one guy over there, and it'd be nice to have a backup there too. And you guys want to see something really scary? Look at our middle linebackers, and look at our left outside linebackers. We're going to have to put a couple guys there. We still need to find a middle linebacker, but we are very thin at corner. And of course, we only have one of each safety as well. So, and we're going to be losing Ty White at the end of the season as well. So we really need to bolster that. And honestly, even though it's a huge downgrade for him, Eric Daniels, I think, is going to have to go at middle linebacker. So after a little bit of maneuvering, it looks like we have someone at pretty much every position now. Although, to be honest with you, Javarius Green, who is a great wide receiver for us, and I think 99 speed, is a 90 halfback. Yes, please. Plus, that actually frees up a little bit of room for some of the other guys that we recruited. Don't get me wrong, I know he would actually be really great to just send on streaks, but I think he's going to be great as a halfback, too. So we do have Austin Braun out there at left outside linebacker, Daniels at middle, and of course Bennett there at right outside linebacker. Again, these are positions we're really going to have to really recruit in the offseason. And again, our cornerbacks are extremely thin. I'm not quite sure how that equates to a 94 overall defense, but I'm not going to say anything. So here it comes. We got ourselves the training results, and look at Javarius Green. Dude went up to a 95 overall at halfback. We made the right decision putting him over there. Landman is over there at an 89. Abraham's an 89. A lot of these guys that we end up recruiting, obviously because of their development trait and the fact that they were 5 stars, are getting up there really quick. The downside, though, is the fact that our roster size is down to 40, which means with 45 extra spots, you better believe we are not telling Banfield to end up transferring. No, we need to keep all of these guys. So even though we did well this past year, I feel like we are actually getting better. Again, I know we don't have a ton of players, but we are really, really good. And I think we have a chance at the playoffs this season. And the awesome thing, too, is not only are we ranked 15th, but Javarius Green is in the preseason polls for the Heisman Trophy. That's crazy because we just moved him from wide receiver, and now he's got a chance to win the Heisman. Well, I'm not going to be upset, especially since we are projected to be #1 in the conference. But even if we're still projected to be at the top, we need to make sure that we sign a lot of guys just in case this isn't going to be our year. And we definitely need a lot of depth on our defense because that is definitely where we're struggling right now. But unfortunately, because of deal breakers, we only have a chance of getting 26 guys this season, and we know it's not going to be all 26. So with 1,000 hours now, we're going to have plenty of time to be able to scout everyone and be able to offer them scholarships. But the great thing is we do have 5 gems in this class, including 3 wide receivers, a right guard, and this power rusher that I really want to get for our defense. So after scouting everyone and being able to offer them all scholarships, let's get into week 0 where we do have a game against UCLA. Unfortunately, we already get locked out on one guy, but thankfully one of the quarterbacks who has us at #1 reached his top 8. So for this season, since we really do have a good amount of offensive players, we're really going to focus on the defensive players. So all the offensive guys, until we end up knowing how many extra hours we're going to have, are going to end up getting 25, whereas all the defensive players that we can get will end up getting 50. And again, we're putting a lot of emphasis on George Tyree and Marvin Dorsey because, again, it'd be great to really bolster the offensive line even more than it already is. And to be able to have a power rusher like this would be really awesome. I mean, with 90 strength, 83 pursuit, and 81 speed, I think you'd be really good off the line. So sitting at number 15 in the preseason, week 0 is going to be against UCLA. I think it's going to be a tough game against a Big Ten opponent, but again, where we're sitting right now, I think we have a really good shot of being able to win this one. I'm hoping that's a good sign because Ostergaard ends up getting ACC Defensive Player of the Week with 6 tackles, a TD, and an interception. And Sammy Abraham, 6 receptions, 124, and a touchdown, ACC Offensive Player of the Week. If we didn't win this one, I'll be surprised. Especially since Sammy Abraham gets National Offensive Player of the Week too. We might have someone up in the Heisman conversation. And while he isn't up there, Javarius Green is still at #1. And that's kind of surprising because he ended up only getting 1 carry for 2 yards, but Johns ended up getting 108 in that game. And I see why. He ended up going down with a dislocated elbow and is going to be out for 6 weeks. But we do see that Johns is actually going to be a really good fill-in for him for at least the next 6 weeks. So let's simulate this battle against the Carolinas, North versus South. And the North is victorious again. Let's go. And we are an A+ championship contender. In season 5 too. And that's great because at this point, these are a lot of the guys that we ended up recruiting in the first couple seasons. It's really nice to see that we actually have a lead on Tyree as well, and we have a chance to schedule him for a visit. And I hate to say it, but it might have to be week 4 against Wake Forest. I know there's a big penalty for a loss, but it's really the best one if we end up getting a win, and I really don't want to wait till week 13, so Wake Forest it is. And we know that he really wants that playing time, so you better believe that's what we're going to be pushing. And we're actually going to bring Dorsey in at the same time. I know there isn't really a compliment there, but still, it'd be really nice to land these guys really early on. And of course, he loves the athletic facilities. It's an A-. We'll take it. The best part is those are the only 2 that are far enough along to really bring for a visit, so I'm glad that we can really focus in on them this early in the season. So let's end up advancing through this game against FCS Northwest, and hopefully we come out 3-0. And since Joey Free was the ACC Offensive Player of the Week with 274 and 5 touchdowns, it looks like we are 3-0, and we're sitting at number 11. But now we have a really tough matchup against SMU in our first conference matchup. And while we can bring guys like Jamichael Williams here in for a visit, we don't know all of his motivations, and I really don't want to bank on the brand exposure. We have other ones that I think could actually be really good. But Enrique Lima here, we know what he wants, and we can actually bring him in for Wake Forest as well, because that is going to be a complimentary visit. And with that playing time at A+, we know that he's going to definitely be happy with that. So after scheduling a couple other guys, it looks like we have 4 guys currently that are visiting week 4 and 2 guys that are visiting week 8. So we really need to jump into those games and make sure we win. But for now, we're going to sim through this game against SMU, and let's hope that we stay undefeated this season. And fortunately, we do. We are 4-0 already. So after going for the hard sell on everyone that's going to be visiting this week, let's go into this rivalry game against Wake Forest, who's an 81 overall, but being carried by their 84 defense. Let's hope our 94 overall team can come out with a victory here and stay undefeated this season. It'd be really great to be able to start with a score here. Oh, I thought we were going to be able to get to the outside, but Johns gets stopped for a 3rd and 9, which means we need to find someone who's going to be open here. It might actually be Johns across the middle if Ibrahim and Akanza end up not being able to take that. Oh no, there we go. Thank you. Way to go, Johns. Little juke around. We got ourselves down to the 40. Let's go for a little swing pass here. Yeah, we're going to do that right out there. I wish we would have hit him in stride, but it doesn't matter. Johns goes around, takes a nice little spin move, and we get down to the 33. They got to fall for the play action here, right? Not really, but... Oh, there we go. He's got some speed. And we threw it way behind him, but he didn't slow down either. We're sitting at a 2nd and 10. And now we're going to have to get it out on the bubble screen. There we go. Good blocks. And Taylor gets it up to just almost the first down, but just not quite. I don't know if I can really trust Free to be able to run right up the middle for this, but we're going to give it a shot. Why not? He's our QB. He's our leader. There we go. Tries to truck him over a little bit. Gets down to the 21. So as long as we continue to just kind of play like this for the rest of the game, I think we're going to be fine as we find him deep in the end zone. No, that ends up being swatted out. I don't know why I felt like we could actually get that, but you know what? That's okay. What's great here is we end up getting Ibrahim down there. Let's go. I'm glad that we moved him to tight end. But why go for unnecessary interceptions when we could just run it to the inside and be able to... Ooh, never mind. I was going to say be able to pick up the score, but he gets stopped at the 3. So dare we go for the speed option? I think we're going to give it a shot. Let's see if it ends up working. Pitch it out. We got Booker out there. And ever since then, we've only gotten the chance to score one more time, but it's remained just a 1-possession lead. And if we can start to put this game away, that would be extremely nice, which means we should probably be running some clock, which I obviously am not doing. But can you blame me? Statistically, these guys have been great all season. I really want to see them get more yards, because if any of them are up there for the Heisman and we're only scoring 14 points, I don't think that's going to be enough. So let's go. Let's get the hole right up the middle as Johns ends up picking up a couple. So let's do the smart thing and just keep running it. We got a great offensive line, so I was really hoping that they would be able to... No way! Don't tell me you really fumbled that. Come on. I can't believe he fumbled it in that situation. That was such a big play, and now we might end up having it be tied in this game. This was supposed to be a pretty easy game for us, but instead, we're all kind of struggling. We really need to get in there and get some kind of stop. Come on, just a sack would be nice. And thankfully he ends up throwing it away, but we need to do better than that. It doesn't seem like we're getting much pressure at all, unfortunately. Although, come on, Landman. Yeah, there we go, Daniels. Big jump. Well, don't jump and celebrate before you end up going down. But still a damn good play nonetheless. Great interception. That may seal this game as long as we continue getting first downs, as we are going to right here. Johns, if you drop that ball again, I swear to God. Because we wouldn't have had to rely on the defense if it wasn't for him right there. So let's go right up the middle. Let's see if we can get some good yardage here, as it looked like we almost got taken down from behind. So at this point, we are just going to run the option here. I'm going to really hope that we can actually pick up some good yards, and we really, really don't. And at this point, we're getting really close to being able to run out the clock, but just not quite there yet. Although, never mind. Looks like we can run the rest of the clock out. We end up getting the dub, although it is only 14 points. But honestly, a win's a win. 14-7 still keeps us undefeated. But stats like this are not going to drive the Heisman judges crazy, because, again, Free just 150, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. John's only at 42 yards. And in the air, it looks like Abraham was obviously the only one with the touchdown with 17 yards. But John's 45 led them. So we really need to really kind of feed it to them a little bit more. So unfortunately, no commit screens. But again, we did pick up that win, and we got a lot of good things for everyone that ended up visiting. And even worse, Marvin Dorsey, who ended up visiting us during that win, ended up committing to Georgia the very next week. Could have used that right guard, but it's alright. At least it's not a defensive player. But more importantly, let's see if we can stay undefeated as we take on Florida State at Florida State. Now, I know they're 1-2, but hey, you know what? They could be good enough to be able to give us some problems. Even better, we get our right end. George Tyree comes in. We're going to have a good defensive line next season. And we also get Enrique Lima, the center. That means we're going to free up a bunch of hours, too. But we stay undefeated at 6-0, and we are number 5 in the nation now. And Alex Taylor wins ACC Offensive Player of the Week with 2 touchdowns and 172 yards. I mean, the good thing is we are pretty set on quarterbacks for pretty much the rest of this rebuild, so it's not like this was a huge loss. So with 2 commits under our belt, let's go to the next week. Let's get out of our bye week, and let's get into another important game. One that I think is going to be winnable, and one that we're going to be able to hopefully sign a couple guys, but I do see 3 guys that did commit to other schools. And with guys like Malik Lasco on our board who are very close to committing to schools like New Mexico, we need to hope that he can wait out until week 8 so we can visit our school. My bad, I was actually 1 week off. We're playing Duke at Duke. So really, I just want to look at the season stats quickly, as we see that Free's at 1,666 yards, 22 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. Rushing, Johns is actually doing really well, averaging 4.6 with 462 yards, but only 2 touchdowns. Free with 153 and 3 touchdowns. And receiving, looks like it's spread out pretty well. Taylor, Abraham, and Nakanza all around 400 to 450. Ibrahim has 200, and all of them have a good amount of touchdowns too. Now, defensively speaking, actually it looks like we're getting in the backfield a decent amount. Daniels and Braun both have 3 TFLs. Landman has 2. But in terms of sacks, Bennett's got 4. Landman with 3. Pizanski has 3. Anderson 2. Mokafisi, if you guys remember him, he's got 1 as well. Not just that, but our secondary actually ball hawks, man. Ostergaard has 3 interceptions. Thompson with 2. And then Bennett, Daniels, and Hunter each with 1. Our team actually looks really good this season. But let's sim through Duke. Let's hope that we're going to be 7-0 after this. And let's hope that we can actually see potentially a commit screen on the next one. There it is, baby. Henry Vaughn, baby. Middle linebacker from Pennsylvania. That is a great pull right there because, again, middle linebacker, it's definitely what we need, despite the fact I see that we lose 4 more guys to other schools. And I'm hoping for the best because Joey Free, 242 and 5 touchdowns, and the National Offensive Player of the Week. Are you kidding me? And we are sitting at 7-0 and number 2 in the country. And that was an absolute massacre. 56 to 14. They did not score in the second half. That is their stats. But yeah, Free, 5 touchdowns in the air. He also had 3 on the ground with 36 yards. Green ended up returning at 91, Johns with 63. I'm excited to hop into the next game because Green's got 99 speed and acceleration. I'm kind of excited to see what that's like. Abraham had 2 touchdowns, 74 yards. Nakanza, 73 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dude, our team was on fire. And with all of those players of the week, Joey Free has leaped up to number 1 on the Heisman list. But again, this week is going to be extremely important because we got Crumpler as well as Gentry and also Cantrell, who are going to be visiting this week, and those are really important signs. So realistically, we're facing Miami of Ohio. They're an 82 overall, again with a better defense at an 84, but we're doing really well this season. We're in 95 overall with a 96 defense. We should be able to come out of this one with a big dub. And it definitely seems that way as we're up 17-0 in the middle of the third quarter as we go for the jet touch pass. Ooh, and it gets absolutely lit up, but he ends up getting out there. Can we get around him? Nice. What ended up looking like it was going to be a loss of 5 ends up becoming a gain of 1. I understand, maybe not incredible, but definitely a lot better than it was probably supposed to be. So let's go 2nd and 9. Let's run it with our 99 speed halfback. Let's go. Little shifty gets up to a 3rd and 2. I know if we would have run a little more vertically, we probably would have had the first down. But why do that when we can just get it right here? We got a really good chance to score right here as we end up hitting Nakanza. Unfortunately, it gets hit. But I only have myself to blame on that one, honestly. As we hit Abraham across the middle. Now let's just hope that that does not ruin Joey Free's stats, all right? He needs to stay atop that Heisman watch, and unfortunately, that's a tackle for loss. We always seem to do better on these little RPOs, so let's end up going with that. Let's get it out to Abraham, do a little shifty stuff, and ends up picking up a good 6 yards. At this point, we just need 4 yards right here. Let's see if we can end up picking it up with Nakanza, my dude. Could have actually turned it upfield, but still got down to the 6. Let's go with the RPO read bubble. We might be able to hit Johns over in the flat. We'll see what he ends up doing. Be nice to be able to get another passing touchdown. So let's do that, baby. Let's go. And Johns gets out there, and we get ourselves another touchdown. And I think we got the lead for good here. But just in case, let's see if we can stop them on 4th and 13. Going for it. It's 24-0. Love this score. It's nice to see our team that's actually really dominating here. Let's get in there. Let's get a little bit of pressure. Getting over there, Anderson. No, he cannot get that pass off, and we got ourselves the ball back. But honestly, as long as we come away with a victory, 34-0, I will be happy. What a shutout by our defense, and great game by our offense. So much so that Joey Free does end up getting player of the game, 223 with 3 touchdowns, but I know we got 1 on the ground as well. Oh, and Urban even got in the game for a little bit. Ended up going 1 for 3 with 28 yards. But still, Free on the ground, had 1 touchdown, only 4 yards though, but that's still okay. Green averaged 7.1. We got to give him the ball a little bit more. Abraham, 74. Would have had a touchdown if he didn't drop it. But Taylor had 54 and a touchdown. Nakanza had 26. Green, 27. And then Johns had that 1 touchdown and 50 yards total as well. Abraham Only 24, but still, big catch right there. So that win should have been impressive enough to be able to get some guys to commit, right? And there's at least one. We got James Cantrell, that wide receiver from Texas. Nick Gentry, the free safety. Thank God we ended up getting a defensive player. As well as Darren Crumpler, the tight end. We got all three guys that ended up visiting. So we were supposed to have a couple guys visiting this week, but they either committed to other schools or to us. So it looks like our next game is probably just going to be week 10. So we're going to end up simulating through this game against Boston College. And we really need to pick up a win here. We'd end up staying 9-0 and undefeated in conference play. And we also get a commit with Dennis Zimmerman. But we ended up losing and we dropped to 8-1. How did we lose to a team like that? But that just means that we have 6 more guys that we can recruit. And that makes week 10 even more important. Not just because we have a handful of guys coming to visit, but also because we're taking on number 11 Stanford, and the winner of this is going to be closer to, obviously, the top of the conference. We cannot lose one more, because if we do, I think we're going to be out of contention for the football playoffs. But with Stanford being at 87 overall and being 11th in the country right now, just above us, it's going to be a tough matchup. It's a big conference one, and hopefully we can end up coming out on top, and hopefully we can prove we're the better team. But unfortunately, we're getting to the end of the first half, and we don't have any points. They have 7, but man, we need to do a lot better than that. We can't even get up to the first down. If you don't think I'm going for it, you're effing crazy, man. We got to go for this one. Why not? Not just that, but we're going to scramble for it. Why is wide open, but why not get the wide open lane? Oh, didn't get the touchdown, but down at the 1. My bad, I thought that was a for sure touchdown if we ended up diving, but we did not dive. But let's go for the jet touch pass. Let's take the touchdown, and let's just call this not quite an even game. Bro, I do not know what is wrong with me, but there we go. This is going to be one that definitely scores over to Taylor. Maybe I'm just getting more nervous as the season goes on, but either way, we're still sitting in a pretty good spot as we hit Johns over there in the flat. Gets up for a good 4 yards. Oh, we don't have any timeouts. All right, we need to hurry up then. Oh my gosh, I did not even pay attention to that. Come on. At the very least, an incomplete pass. But it's not. It's going to be a touchdown, baby, and we go up before half. And thankfully, as we get into the 4th, we hold our lead, but we did end up missing that extra point. I don't know how, but we did. That is definitely the main thing here. So let's go with that speed option. Let's see. Let's pitch it off. No! Green, go get it. That is out of bounds. You've got to be kidding me. I don't know what is up with my pitching in this game, I guess. I don't know. Either way, though, get off of him. There we go. Great catch by Nixana. Oh my gosh, I can't even pronounce his name right now. I'm that excited. We got ourselves a first down, baby. I'm sorry, Nikanza. I don't know why I was having such a hard time saying that, but I definitely did. My bad. Let's get him out there in the flat. There we go. Great. We're going to get a first down. You bet we will. And we get a little bit more. I swear, I do know these guys' names. I promise. So let's get it out there. Oh, if we would have let him a little more, we could have guaranteed having a touchdown, but that's okay. We still get it anyways. And now we go up by 2 possessions. And even though that unfortunately does give them some time to be able to come back here, we're going to be fine. Let's get through here. Let's stop him on 4th down. No! Why did you not jump for that, Ostergaard? Are you kidding me? What are we doing? I can't believe he didn't jump for that. That was such an easy interception. Instead, now we have to go and recover this onside kick. So we legitimately just have to play 4 deep right here. We can't let them have any deep passes. You got to stop everything that comes our way. There we go. Great coverage. At this point, they literally have to go for Hail Marys. Honestly, this game should have been out of reach, but honestly, I screwed that up a lot. And honestly, did Ostergaard really intercept that? No shot! He intercepted that. I want to see the replay. Let's look at this as it gets to the sideline. Dude, Ostergaard keeps 1 foot. He ends up dragging that one, holding onto it, and thankfully we get the ball, and that is going to be the end of the game. A little bit of a heart attack there to end it, but thankfully we come away with that 21-14 victory, and we stay atop the ACC, I think. Either way, we end up taking down a team that was ranked higher than us, that was 7-1, and was really a big threat to us in the ACC. And man, that's pitiful. Taylor, 2 touchdowns, 49 yards, ends up being the player of the game. And we got Thaddeus Cahill, which is another receiver. We're going to have to find a place to put all these guys. And Terry Spain, another halfback. We did end up losing this QB as well as this wide receiver, but honestly, I think we're totally fine with those positions. So we've got 9 commits so far, which is really great, and 2 potential more. And that also means that the only game that we're going to hop into before the end of the season is going to be week 13, unless he ends up committing. So it looks like Stephen Cush wants to commit. Let's go. We got an extra one. That is going to be a full 10, and unfortunately, Overbay does end up committing to Washington, and that means that we're going to have to sim the rest of the season. Hopefully that won't be a problem against 7-3 Virginia. We really need to take this game if we want a chance, and unfortunately you can see over there on the Heisman board, on the Heisman watch, we're not up there anymore with Joey Free. But maybe this game will actually put him back up there. Hopefully it's a big one. And while it wasn't huge, it was a win, 20-17. And unfortunately, Free didn't have a great game, 184 with an interception. Rushing, he did have 1 on the ground with 64 yards, so I'm glad that he got it done on the ground. Gauss ended up getting out there with 29 yards. Johns only 25 with a touchdown. And receiving-wise, no one really broke 60 yards. Nikanza was the closest one with 59 and no touchdowns in the air. So currently we're sitting atop the ACC along with Miami, so if we end up winning this one against NC State, we'll be in the conference championship game. And boy, do we need that more than you know. And the fact that we had the ACC Defensive Player of the Week means hopefully something good, because Landman ended up having 3 TFLs, a sack, and 5 total tackles. And I'm assuming we won because we are up to number 2 in the country, taking on number 6 Miami in the ACC championship game. And it wasn't a high-scoring game, but we did win 20-10. Fortunately, Free had a great game, 319 with 2 touchdowns. On the ground, he only had 35. Johns had 63. It's a shame that Green looks like he's injured again. But Nikanza, 169 with 2 touchdowns. Huge game for him. Taylor, 6 for 78. Abraham, 33. Abraham, 28. And then Johns, 11. But like I said, this year might be the year. But we need to make sure that we take down Miami so we can guarantee our spot in the playoffs. They're 90 overall, the best team that we played all season. But let's hope we can come out with a win. And by the time we get to the end of the first half right now, we are up 7-0. Hoping to score again as we end up getting it up to Nikanza. And thankfully, we got ourselves a really good first down. Thankfully, with that completion to Nikanza, we got ourselves a first down and a potential score here as we get it out to him. Got a good block, and he gets pushed into the end zone, baby. And we got a 2-score lead. But not much has happened really since then. As we're trying to cling to this lead, we got ourselves a 1st and 10 just past midfield. And really, I should run this clock down, so give me about 20 seconds. So let's do it here. We end up hitting Abraham on the out. And nice, good 6 yards right there. We just did not want to end up stopping the clock. Dumb on our part. That's all right, we're going to run for this one. We're going to pick up the first down. Okay, never mind, I'm sorry. That is just like Matt Hasselbeck. That one, I think it was a playoff game against the Packers when he said, oh yeah, we want the ball and we're going to score. And then just proceed to throw an interception on the first play. Yeah, that's kind of funny, I'm not going to lie. Taylor gets up to a first down, baby. Let's go. So let's go for it right here. Let's run, and it just absolutely gets stuffed. So let's run that down to the 2-minute warning. Well, so much for that call, but they're playing cover 0. Go. Let's do this. Get 3 of them. Are you kidding me? Thank you very much, Abraham. Did you see him get caught up on the defender? But still, he gets free. And when you're playing cover 0, no shot you're going to be able to stop us. And thankfully, that is how this game ends, 21-9. Our defense clamped down. Our offense was decent when it needed to be. And I think we got ourselves a one-way ticket to the playoffs. And Sammy Abraham, 135, 2 touchdowns. That's what I was expecting from him. And Joey having a decent game, a very modest yardage game with 216, but 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Did have 10 on the ground, no rushing touchdowns though. But Abraham, again, 135, but no one else ended up breaking 35. But all that matters is we are ACC champions. And again, we are going to be in the playoffs. More than likely getting a straight bid to the quarterfinals. And look at that, Sammy does get ACC Offensive Player of the Week, which makes a lot of sense. Really good game by him. And look at that, Joey Free gets Player of the Year. No shot! Joey got Heisman as well? No way! I thought that we had ruined that, but 38 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and almost 3,300 yards. Absolutely incredible. And all of that gets us an offer to be head coach over at Alabama. But absolutely not, my friend. We are staying here until we win a championship. Or we drop below 30 players. But let's look at this. Early National Signing Day. Again, we end up signing a good amount of guys. And now we're going to get a chance to see their development traits as Cush is an impact player. That sucks because he's got such a great name. Cahill is a star, but we have an elite at Terry Spain, as well as Dennis Zimmerman, a halfback and a wide receiver. Crumpler is a star. Same with Gentry in the secondary. That's great. Lima is going to be a star center. Tyree is only impact, but Vaughn, our middle linebacker, is an elite. I love it. And Cantrell is an elite too. Dude, our wide receiver crew is just absolutely stacked as well. But either way, it looks like we are taking the Orange Bowl against Michigan State in the quarterfinals. Thankfully, we did get that first round bye, and we are #1 in the nation, as we've played all season, despite that one loss to a really subpar team. So as we get into this Michigan State game, we got ACC versus the Big Ten. They're an 81 overall. We just took down Miami. That was a 90 overall. We should, theoretically, have a pretty easy game here, but it is the playoffs. Anything can happen. Game of the week here, the Orange Bowl. Let's come out on top. But on our first check-in, we are unfortunately down in the second quarter, 7-0, but it's okay. Still very early on in the game, and we can still end up picking... Oh, no, we were past the line. Were we really? And that just means we're going to have to make a comeback here in, well, the second half, I guess. But maybe we can start it early. Let's go. That's going to be a touchdown to Abraham. You are not going to keep up with him. You cannot press him. So I think Taylor is being pressed right now. If that safety does not go to the right, we're going to be okay. We're going to be able to get him as we do. Let's go. That is going to be touchdown number 2. Okay, maybe not a touchdown, but that is a big catch down to the 22. And while we do want to get points really quickly, you don't have to be that quick on this one. Get it, but don't run out of bounds. Damn it. The good news, though, is we can go for a screen right here, and I think we're going to, well, obviously, we're going to be able to keep the clock running, but hopefully we can pick up a first down here and maybe a bit more. Jukes in. Oh, I thought Green was going to be able to get in there. So with about 17 seconds and 2 timeouts, I think we can pick up a touchdown on this one right here. Out to Johns, and he gets in, baby. And we got ourselves a tie game going into the half. Let's see if we can get into Konza again, because it looks like he's going to be free. And gets up to almost the first down, 3rd and 1. I don't know why we're running on 3rd down, but it's okay. I feel like we can get that, and Green does, and a bit more up to the 5-yard line. So as much as I'd love to throw the bubble to Taylor, it looks like he is going to be absolutely covered. Yeah, but that run was not any better. That's okay, because I trust Nikonza just a little bit more as we get him out there. But yeah, that was just a little too late. We need to find the end zone right here. And I think we can. We do! Let's go! Taylor gets open for the touchdown. And we got ourselves our first lead of the game. And not just that, but soon after, we do get it in the red zone as we run the final play of the 3rd quarter, and we get ourselves a first down, and we are firmly in control. We're in the 4th quarter. All we have to do is really just hold our lead. Don't throw it over there, you son of a bitch. I think we might have just ruined the game. I can't believe I did that. That was so stupid. Why are we doing that in the red zone? Come on now. Come on, get it back there. There we go, Landman. No! He's going to scramble and ends up throwing it out. The good news, though, is we do get the ball back, and we do have 3.5 minutes, and that 1 possession lead. But that throw out to Abraham is wide. I can't believe he ended up missing that. That is terrible. Let's get it out there. Oh, no. Oh, what a spin move by Johns. Let's go. And what could have been a TFL is now a 3rd and 4. I have not tested the spin moves or anything for these guys at all. But let's go. Let's get out there. Way to go. Free. He gets free. And no, he ends up getting to a 4th and 3. And if we're making this a really close game against State, what are we going to do against the better teams in the semis or even the national championship game? So it's time to really clamp down on defense and make sure that we really disrupt them. No free pockets, but there we go. We end up getting him down in the middle of the field. But still, 2nd and 3, we definitely need to get out of this one as they just go for the run. Someone take him down. 3rd and 3. We need a big stop right here. It's going to be the last play before the 2-minute warning. They need to get this off too. There we go. Oh my gosh, how did we not see him across the middle? But let's do it. 1st and 10. Let's get back there. No, he gets wide open. Oh my gosh, it went to the wrong guy. And by the looks of it, looks like we're going to have to play hero ball on offense. We're going to probably get one more opportunity to get in there. But there we go. We end up stopping him 2nd and 6. But like I said, time for hero ball. All we need is a field goal. Let's make sure that we get up into field goal range. We do have all 3 timeouts, which honestly is really great. So let's see if we can get that right here. Let's just run to the outside, baby. Let's go. That's not smart. Let's call our first time out. So coach thinks verticals is smart, so let's give it a shot. Let's see if it ends up working. No, where are you throwing it? We were supposed to throw it to the left. We were going to lead him, but he just did not do that. And now we got a 3rd and 6. Come on, we need to get up to at least midfield on this one. Let's go. What kind of throw was that? We get hit as we throw it. And at this point, I can't believe it, but we have to punt yet again. I can't believe what is going on here, guys. We are just blowing this game at this point. That's all right. You know what? Like I said, this is the game where we get the jitters out. I'm okay with that. As we get it out there, let's go, Abraham. Way to break some tackles. Gets up there. That is a first down, baby. That is what we need. Why are we not running? We're a better running team. I'm screwing up here. That is why we're losing this game. I care more about passing stats than anything else. Instead of getting Green out into the fucking open, and we got ourselves a touchdown. So it's the defense's time to shine right here. Let's get this 2nd and 4. Get some pressure. There we go. Get it! Let's go! White gets the interception! We don't have to do anything, just go down! And we are advancing to the semifinals. That's the shit I'm talking about! And that 28-21 victory over the Spartans is enough to put us into the next round. What a great game until I ended up getting into it. But it's okay. We picked up the win, and that is really what matters. So even though we just won a big game there against Michigan State, we can't be too comfortable. Even though Evan Bennett did have ACC Defensive Player of the Week, 1 sack and 3 tackles. However, we need to really focus on this next game after seeing that Sammy Abraham is the ACC Offensive Player of the Week. We're probably the only ACC team that's actually left, so it makes a lot of sense. But we're taking on Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl in the semifinals. It's a big game. I'm really hoping that we have a big overall advantage over them. And I'm hoping that this is going to be a pretty easy game to get into the national championship. And I thought something was off. It looks like our defensive coordinator got a job elsewhere. Looking at Delvin Grimm, dude, he has a lot in the tactician. And I'm really hoping that that would be enough to be able to kind of help us win if we need to go into the next season. So let's offer that to Delvin Grimm. But again, we really need to focus on this game. We are facing Liberty, who is an 85 overall. That is very, very surprising. As you can see, we ended up going down to a 94 overall, and I think that's because our defensive coordinator ended up leaving. But we're not going to think about that. We're just going to go into this game against Liberty, and we're going to kick some ass. And realistically, if we can start this game with a score, we're going to be in a really, really good place as we get it out there. Let's go. Get some speed, Johns. Ends up almost getting a first down, but that's a really good start for us. So unfortunately, as we're down in the second quarter, we are in the red zone at least. So let's see if we can get an outside run. We got a big hole right there. We hit it. Green breaks the tackle and gets in the end zone. There we go. We tie it up. But this Liberty offense is much better than I expected. That is on me. Let's see if we can hit him deep. Can we get him? We got the... Let's go, Green. He's too fast, man. That 99 speed and acceleration is going to torch everyone. So let's keep this up. We're back down in the red zone. We need to score before half. Let's just make sure we don't give them a lot of time to be able to respond. Go Cootie. No, that's all right. We got plenty of time right here as we end up scrambling out. And let's just pick this up ourselves. We end up sliding down, but just a yard too early. And it might not seem smart, but I want the first down, and we have 3 timeouts. So let's just run right up the middle. Let's see if we can get closer to the goal line. And thankfully we do, and we have a lot of space open on the right, so let's end up scrambling out. Let's see if we can get someone free, or let's just take it ourselves. And no pun intended, because his name is Joey Free. But still, rushing touchdown, we got ourselves a tie game before half. Thankfully, the defense holds it down to start the half. Let's see if we can get a good RPO here. Why did we end up doing that? I wanted to throw it to Y, and we end up losing a yard. That's okay. We're going to make up for it right here on the jet sweep. Get it to him. We got ourselves a good hole right up the middle, actually. Probably could have gotten it to the outside and gotten a little more, but still, I am not going to pass up a look like that. So let's go. We just need a first down here, 3rd and 2. I do not want to settle for a field goal. Let's get it to the outside, and let's just pick up a touchdown, baby. I thought we were just going to get the first down, but Free gets it right back in. And brother, if this is not our year, I will be super surprised, because we are playing like an absolute... I was going to say an absolute monster, but no. 28-14. We end up giving them the ball back, but we can stop them here on 4th down. And we do. They cannot hold on to it. So let's make them pay for that, and let's get back into the end zone ourselves. I'm being very, very selfish here, and we sure do with Abraham. He's got the speed, baby. Let's go. And at this point, it's all about keeping the ball and running a lot more clock. Let's go. Good catch by Cody, and we got ourselves a 1st down. It is a 2-possession game, about to go to 3 once we kick this. And we got ourselves almost a guaranteed win here. And here comes their last-ditch effort. It is 4th and 5, empty backfield. Let's get in there and let's stop them. There we go, baby. That's what I'm talking about. We end their game, and we are going to the national championship game. Sorry, man, I'm getting just way too hyped for this. I did not think that we are going to do this potentially in Season 5, but this makes me super happy. Free 10 for 16. Didn't really throw the ball a lot. 166, a touchdown and interception. But on the ground, Green, 103 with the touchdown. Free ran in 2, and even Abraham ran in 1. Question is, who are we going to be facing after we take the semifinals? Let's advance to the next week. Let's look at the bracket and let's see who they end up putting us up against. And we're taking on number 2, Georgia, in the national championship. This is what I'm talking about. I am so glad this is not going to be a cakewalk. They're undefeated this season. 8-0 in their conference, obviously, because they were undefeated. And we got ourselves a really tough matchup here. But here, I just want to see this bracket right here. You see Tulane up there ended up beating A&M. Michigan State over Miami. We have Buffalo over Notre Dame, which is crazy. Colorado State over UAB. And of course, Georgia just swept Colorado State and Buffalo, who ended up beating Oregon. And of course, Liberty beat Tulane to be able to go against us. And now we have the true 1 and 2 teams here facing off in the national championship game. We need to be the ones to come out on top, though. It's going to be extremely tough because Georgia, I'm sure, is rated pretty highly, that 90 overall. But again, we've already taken down a 90 overall team in Miami. We can do that against Georgia. Let's go out there and show that you can win a national championship by only recruiting 5-star players. And unfortunately, it looks like we're starting this game on defense. They have it 3rd and 6. We need to pick up a big stop. Let's plow through this line. There we go, and we get the pick. White, that might be a pick 6. Can he get down the line? I think he does, and we got ourselves the first score of the game on the defense. I can't believe it. That is not something we have seen all season, but White ends up jumping that route, and we got ourselves a big touchdown. But they do get the ball back in the red zone. Unfortunately, we need to pick this. We need to get them to stop. Oh my gosh, we were ready for him, but we hit that hit stick a little too early. So let's go. We're going to end up rushing 6 here. We need to disrupt the pass. I don't know why. Oh man, we should not have gone man-to-man. We should have had one guy still drifting back, and that is going to be a touchdown tie game. Thankfully, we respond right back by getting it back into the red zone ourselves, and we got ourselves a potential touchdown over there, but Taylor cannot get free. That's okay, because you always got to go with your trusty receiver here, and that is going to be Abraham across the middle. No one's on him, but he can't hold on to the ball. Let's give him one more shot here, unless they go into zone, which they do, but that means we can just pick it up with our feet. Free gets free, and we got ourselves another touchdown. Let's go. But man, this is going to be a back and forth game. They have it on the 15, 1st and 10. Still clinging to that 1 possession lead. And they're just wasting clock at this point, which is totally understandable. And we ended up diving too early again. I need to work on that. You would think that I would learn by this point, but no, we do not. Let's disrupt this yet again. Come on, get through the line. And no one is there, unfortunately, and we give up a touchdown. Good news is we do have a chance to score before the end of half. It's not likely, but we do have a chance if he gets free. No, that gets swatted down. Damn it. I did think that he was going to have a shot. Dumb me. But there we go, down the sideline. We got ourselves a... No, an incompletion again. Oh, let's go. A 1st down here would be just absolutely incredible. As we do get it across the middle, Taylor gets free a little bit too. And we're going to have to call a timeout. And what looked like it was going to be a punt is now a 1st down just past midfield. Let's make this work. Oh my gosh, he got nudged! He got nudged! I thought we had an easy play right there, and unfortunately, something just happened. Let's go with the toss. 3rd and 3. Let's get out there because he's so damn fast. Let's go Green. We get the 1st down. We keep it alive. But just because we keep it alive doesn't mean we're getting into the end zone. So let's get it right here. We get our halfback. He ends up not catching it, Green. And unfortunately, I think that means that we're going to have to take the tie and take our 3 right here. and end up tying the game up at 17. So come on, they are past midfield yet again. We need to hold them to 3 or be able to get the ball back. Let's go! Mokafisi! My dude, I can't believe it! He runs down the sideline. Can he beat him? He beats him, and we got another pick 6. Our defense is really showing out in the national championship game, and we got ourselves a big score again. So let's just control the ball, control the clock, and make sure that we just continue to get first downs. So this is a play that's been really good for us pretty much all season. We go with that little motion, get that RPO out there, and we got Johns for not just a... I thought he was going to have a first down, but that weird animation made him end up being short, and that means we're going to have to go for the field goal again. And that means I'm really hoping that we can... Oh my gosh, I thought that was going to be wide left. So all we have to do is keep this alive right here. First down is going to be huge for us as we get to the outside. Do we get more than a first down? We do! Taylor makes it a 3-possession game, and I think this game is over. And maybe I shouldn't speak so soon. They ended up scoring. It is a 10-point game, and we're just going to have to recover this as we do and just go down. Do not fumble the ball. Let's go 3rd and 6. 1 first down seals the game right here. And unfortunately, we do not get it. Oh, should have thrown that so much sooner. But realistically, we just wanted to create a little bit of drama because we knew we were going to pick up this dub. And we end up winning our national championship 34-24, thanks to some really impressive defensive play there. I wish our offense would have been a little bit better in that game, but still, we had the Heisman winner. We had 2 pick 6s here. Ty White ends up getting player of the game with that 1 interception and the touchdown. But I still think that it could have went to Mokafisi over here too. We got ourselves a big win, and there we go. We have accomplished our challenge. And again, not an incredibly impressive offensive day. And in terms of the defense, my goodness. 4 TFLs, 1 for Pasansky, 1 for Mokafisi, 1 for Anderson, and 1 for Thompson. Only 2 sacks, but Bennett Landman got in there. 3 interceptions, 2 that went for scores. Thank you, White and Mokafisi. And just absolutely incredibly dominating defensive play today. And there it is, baby. National champions, all 5-star players. And obviously, the development traits definitely helped as we got a lot of these guys to be, sophomores and juniors. They improved so much. And even moving Green to halfback was really, really incredible. But let's bask in this win. Let's look at all the stats that we had for this season. And let's also bask in the fact that we did have the Heisman winner as well. And despite the fact that White ended up getting player of the game, Mokafisi ended up getting ACC Defensive Player of the Week. That does not make sense to me, but it doesn't need to. What does matter is that he also won the National Defensive Player of the Week. Obviously, there were only 2 teams playing. So again, not necessarily impressive. But Alex Taylor, ACC Offensive Player of the Week. And probably not National Player of the Week. Okay, my bad. Either way, though, there you see the 2028 National Champions, North Carolina. And again, this team really showed out all season for the most part. Again, Free was the one who ended up winning the Heisman this season. He ended up, after all the bowl games, 3,830 passing yards, 43 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. On the ground, he had 11 with 385. Johns had 754 with 5 touchdowns. If Green would have stayed healthy, I think he potentially could have had 1,000, but 430 with 3 touchdowns. Our receiving core, we had 2,000-yard receivers in Abraham and Nikanza, 12 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns. Taylor had 13 himself with 877. We did not spread those touchdowns around a lot, but we did spread around a lot of the receptions as well. Abraham had 387 with a touchdown, Johns 248 with 2 touchdowns, and of course Green, when he was healthy, 133 as well. Cody got in there as well. I'm really glad because, again, we recruited him, last season or the season before? And so I'm glad that he actually got to see a little bit of playing time, and same with Mawai. And defensively, this team was an absolute unit. Everyone contributed. Everyone got in the backfield. Bennett, Landman, Braun, Pasansky, Mokafisi, all with 5 or more TFLs. Daniels, Thompson, Anderson, Hunter, Ostergaard, Cushenberry, and McKnight. I swear, the entire defense got into the backfield. And not just that, but Evan Bennett, 11 sacks. Landman, 8.5. Really, really incredible performances from everyone. Thompson and Hunter, 4 interceptions apiece. Same with Ostergaard. 2 from Daniels and White. 1 from Bennett, 1 from Mokafisi. When it really, really mattered. Not just that as well, but we had 6 forced fumbles. 3 from Bennett. He had 6 fumble recoveries throughout the year. And again, a couple of defensive touchdowns as well with Ostergaard, White, and again, Mokafisi as well, these two in the national championship game. Again, as great as our offense was, our defense matched that, and that is why we're the #1 team of the season. Still can't believe we ended up losing that one game, but hey, you know what? As long as we win the national championship, that's what matters. And again, we are able to accomplish the goal, and that is to win a national championship with all 5-star recruits. I really wish we could go through this next season and actually see how everyone did. I might actually go through this and see how some of the recruits are, because I'm really excited to see if any of them ended up breaking an 80 overall right away. As you see right here, we're losing a lot of guys to graduation, but Green is projected to go in the first round. It's going to be a new team next year, but honestly, they're pretty damn good still. And looking at the draft results, Green did go in the first round, although he was the only one to go to the pros. And not that it matters anymore, but we don't have to look at the transfer portal. No 5-star prospects, which means that we can literally just go until National Signing Day. Again, I really want to see how some of those recruits actually look coming out of the gate and see how everyone ends up progressing. Maybe we'll do another video down the line, kind of just simming through a handful of seasons. If you guys are interested, let me know down in the comments. We'll end up doing that, but for now, again, we're going to leave this team where it is, see how everyone ending up once we get through everything, and just really, again, bask in the glory of this team. And no way! Kenoy goes up to a 97? He was an 83! Murphy goes up to a 96, Man and 91, Abraham Landman, both the same thing. Freed becomes a 90, but he might not even start anymore. Dude, we have so many good players on this team that are over 80. I mean, if you look at it, we only have 4 players that are in the 70s. Granted, we do have a very thin roster, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But we start the season at 96 overall, and in fact, our roster size went down to 38. So the fact that we ended up winning the national championship in that last one makes me super happy, because I don't know how much longer we would have been able to go with a roster size like this. But again, what does matter is the fact that we did accomplish our challenge. Again, if you guys are interested in seeing sim of another couple seasons with this team, you guys let me know. But again, for now, we ended up winning the national championship with a team of only 5-star recruits. Again, only a roster size of about 38, but it was enough to be able to take the national championship and again, be able to accomplish our goal. So again, if you're ever asking yourself the question, can you win a national championship by only recruiting 5-star recruits? The answer is, you bet your fucking ass. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to go down and drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.